Roll call of Alderman.
Alderman Heisler.
Here.
Kinsella.
Here.
Meyer. Here. Holt. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Rudowitz.
Here.
Carpenter.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Silsby.
Here.
Hayden.
Here.
Seibert.
Here.
Martinson.
Here.
Elmore.
Here.
Schneider. Here. Musgrove.
Here.
Orland.
Roll call of department heads.
Police Chief Bill Clay. Fire Chief Scott Langston.
Here.
City Attorney Mike Flynn.
Here.
Ken Vaughn.
Here.
Royce Carlino. Jamie Matron. Here. Tim Gregowitz.
Here.
Jim Schneider.
Here.
Leander Spearman.
Here.
Emily Foltz. Chuck Schaefer.
Here.
Bob Sabo.
Here. Emily Foltz is excused. Chief is coming, I believe. I talked to him a little bit ago, so anybody else on this? I don't think so. Oh, Royce is excused. Okay, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, before we start our public participation, we did get on the agenda, but I'm happy to read a proclamation, and then we're in for just a brief but very good treat just for a second. The proclamation reads as this: whereas the preservation and encouragement of barbershop quartet singing in America, Inc., known as the Barbershop Harmony Society, was officially organized on April 11, 1938 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And whereas what began as a small group of steadily blossomed into a world's largest all-male singing organization, an international organization of men from all stations of life. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society is dedicated to the spread of harmony for the enjoyment of all people of the world through organizing and encouraging close harmony singing groups. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society encourages harmony amongst all people of the world through the universe language of music. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society has actively preserved and presented a distinct style of vocal music that originated in North America. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society is dedicated to sustaining and preserving an American tradition, the Barbershop Quartet. Whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society promotes musical education through music scholarships and other means and supports charitable foundations. And whereas the barbershoppers are encouraged in laudable civic service and enrichment of our cultural life through the fostering of traditional values and entertainment in community endeavors. Now therefore, I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of April 14th to the 20th as Barbershop Harmony Week in the City of Belleville. We're very proud to have you. I will say on a side note, this group every year helps us out on the square the day after Thanksgiving as we usher in the holiday shopping season downtown. They're there faithfully no matter what the weather is, and they're there giving song and sharing with our residents, and usually to quite a few hundred people, so it's great. Gentlemen, I'll be happy to present this proclamation to you, and if you come forward, I understand you want to delight us with one song. Thank you. It'll be much appreciated. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
In 1968, the United States of America was in somewhat of turmoil. We were embroiled in a war that had become very unpopular in Vietnam. Robert Kennedy had been assassinated, and Martin Luther King had been assassinated. A song was written by a songwriter specifically for Louis Armstrong, also known as Satchmo, to portray what was a brighter future that we all would hope for and we all should continue to pray for. The name of that song is What a Wonderful World.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world, wonderful world. to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world, wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Wonderful,
Now, that was a nice treat. Wasn't on the agenda, but we made that happen. This time I will open public participation. I don't have any other presentations tonight. Yes, hang on. Open public participation. When I call on you, step up to the microphone, give your name and address. Try to keep your comments to 2-3 minutes max. Okay, please? We got a lot on the agenda tonight. Yes, sir. You're anxious to go first.
Rick Brown, 618 South Pennsylvania Avenue, Belleville, Illinois. I guess the first thing we ought to do is the tragedy that happened today in Boston with the bombings. You know, our hearts go out to all the victims of that. I wanted to mention that first. Second, I guess it would be easy to stand up here and gloat after the election, but that would be childish and immature. So I'll just say, So, anyway, what I want to talk about tonight, we have a few things on the agenda. Two of them are two zoning cases, case number 8 and case number 9. They're coming before you to be voted on. The former mayor and city attorney and alderman in this city stole the property rights from the individuals that own this property with retroactive zoning, which is against the law. You're going to be voting to both buildings that are on this property were conforming at the time that they were zoned property as B1 multifamily. Case number 17 and case is about the same thing. It's a duplex. It was built when it was zoned for duplexes in that area. And you know, if you vote it down, you're going to be voting down something that was allowed under the previous zoning. Case number 19 is about the lot sizes. Again, the lot sizes that were changed under this administration with this city attorney. And that was done retroactively, which is against the law. What I'm mainly here tonight for is a few meetings ago, the mayor was explaining to the council about some property that they were wanting to get rid of. 10 lots, and he described them as old, basically weed lots that the city had been mowing, and maybe the neighbors could split them, or maybe one neighbor could buy it. And that's the way it was explained to the alderman out here. About a week ago, I was at a meeting when bids were opened up and found out that one of the lots was in the industrial park, the most expensive area in the city of Belleville, where they took bids and sold a lot 8/10 of an acre, and they took a bid in for $800. Now, there's a lot within 100 feet of that, it's 2.5 acres. That's for sale right now for $90,000. The proper price on that lot would be $27,900 if you go by square footage. It was described at the meeting after I found out what the lot was. Oh, it's just a sliver. Oh, you can't build anything on it. Well, oh, that's a bunch of hooey. You can build on it. You could have built on it. I don't have any problem that Mr. Glanzer, who put the bid in, happens to be on the electrical commission and a city official. It's just the slimy way that it was given to the alderman and allowed to be put out for bid. That was a new lot, not a lot that was like a weed lot. Yes, he was taking care of it. Yes, he'd already put his driveway on it. But that should be bid out separately as a new parcel, just like any parcel would be in the industrial park. The property is worth $27,000. I think very close to that should be what it should sell for. That would pay for a police officer for 4 months in this city. And if it's not, if you guys, whoever votes for this thing to sell it for that price, I'm going to the state's attorney tomorrow with it. So I think it should be taken out of the package to be voted on. Thank you.
We'll address that later on and explain that. Yeah, you're next.
My name is Mary Smith, and I live at 501 South Virginia Avenue in Ward 7. For the last 4 years, Mr. Elmore has been our alderman, and the residents of our ward were very well represented by Phil. He returned calls promptly, he gave us accurate information, and always pointed us out in the right direction when there was a situation that maybe he couldn't answer accurately. He was instrumental in starting the McClintock Avenue Neighborhood Association, which formed several neighborhood watch groups within it. There's also a problem property on our block that he worked with diligently, not only with us in the housing department, but he also contacted the property owner and took our concerns to the property owner to see if he would address them. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thanks, Phil, for all your hard work these past 4 years. We'll miss your voice on the council because you truly have the best interest of your residents at heart. Not only the residents of Ward 7, but of Belleville. So thank you again, and we appreciate your service. Best wishes to you and your family.
Thank you for your comments.
Michael Hagbert, 701 Centerville. Talk about the budget that's on tonight's agenda. 138 pages of PDF download of just general ledger, account numbers, brief description, and budget amounts. There's no detail about any projects that are being done. As you know, I've asked in the past, I was told the Meredith building is in there for a tear down at $400,000, TIF 3 and TIF 17. If you look at the pages for TIF 3 and 17, there's no mention of the Meredith building. There's no way that you could even figure out that that was a project that's being proposed. What's missing from this budget is a list of proposed projects and their costs. I would ask the council at this time to withhold passing the proposed budget until a list of proposed budgets is done with the amount that it's going to cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go on, though, I'm going to comment. You've been to every meeting, Michael, and Mrs. Sun. You've had your comment. Jamie Matrid has gone through this and asked questions and explained everything from the Meredith home to every project and asked Alderman's questions and input, going back now since probably the 1st of January. I think you're exaggerating a little bit about acting like there's things that are hidden here. That's not true. And we'll discuss it a little further on in the meeting, I'm sure. But I just want to say to the public, because there's a lot of people here tonight, we've had many discussions and many opportunities about questions with the budget, and Jamie's made it very clear and did an excellent job. In fact, Finance Committee all gave her accolades, including Mr. Hayden, all of us at the last meeting, for all the hard work and all the clarity that she gave. So I don't know, you do come to a lot of meetings, I'll grant you that. But to say now in front of all this big body of people in the press that we hid some things or it should be held up, that's not true. Next person, anybody like to speak? Yes, sir.
Stuart Manor, 318 South 29th Street, Belleville. Well, I know that the Meredith home was supposed to have been torn down a long time ago, and the dog park, I was hoping that finally something, the citizens, the taxpayers of this city are going to get a freebie. They were having dogs run free in this dog park. The taxpayers paid for it, some grant or this or that, but I think it should be open to the taxpayer. As my way up here, I happened to go by 8th and C Street or 6th and C Street, which is right by a dog park, and I seen some old guy sitting on his porch with a great big old dog, and I just suppose that I don't think that guy's got the $26 to go down and walk his dog. It's only a half a block from the dog park. And as far as Lindenwood, I don't think we need to bend over backwards for Lindenwood at all. They've already turned almost 3 blocks of alleys into just a long bunch of, looks like used car lots. They tore up all the grass, backyards, tore all the backyards out of 2 sides of the street, Main Street and A Street, and put gravel in there. And they got cars parked every which way in there. It looks like about 3 blocks of a used car lot on both sides of the alley. Now they tore up a brand new 2-year-old 200 by 200 foot asphalt parking lot they put in. It was only there 2 years. Now they're tearing that up and going to build a dormitory. Don't they ever plan ahead? I mean, how much does it cost to tear up 200 by 200 feet of brand new blacktop? I don't know what it costs to put it in. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Mary McHugh, 10503 West Main in the great city of Belleville. The first thing I would like to do is to ask the council members here to join us on the 18th, this Thursday evening, where Jim Snyder, the founder, you might say, of BASIC, and Daryl Coons, the president of BASIC, and Lane Clapp will be there also to give us a listening lesson about BASIC, to keep it revived, and for, especially, I think it's very important for all of you to be there. I just would like a RSVP because we will have something to eat at 6:30, and it will be at Jim's Place, 512 West Main Street. The other reason I'm here, do I have to say my name again? I don't do
No, no, one time.
Okay. We have proclaimed Belleville our city as an all-American city, a city of character. Many great citizens have embraced this endeavor and are making positive things happen. In order to attain and to maintain this goal, our leaders and all citizens, young and old, must lead by positive example. Positive actions are louder than just words. For example, newspaper. Here are Henry Robb School students who are popping popcorn and finding books to take to Narambia, if you say that right, Africa, and for the children in Belleville that do not have books. We should be helping them. Wonderful thing, young kids. Yet, at the same time, we have negative persons in Belleville who have made and display signs along political signs, example, cook for city clerk, making me think that he condones the signs which read, Mark Eckert sucks. Remember, regardless of who sucks in Belleville, this type of advertisement tells us what kind of negative leadership that is encroaching our beautiful city. This sign destroys and demeans the character of our city, and it makes a mockery of the great American privilege of freedom of speech. We're now at a new crossroad in Belleville city government. The new high-level leaders who have won have taken their cause to win to be aired by Bob Rolani, the commentator who calls the talk show he has, The Patriot, the First Amendment station, KQQZ. If you have not heard the nasty, vulgar, degrading remarks describing our city and its present officials, you would think Belleville was at the bottom of the heap of American cities. Shame on all of the candidates who used Mr. Romani to gather votes. However, methinks birds of a feather flock together. Please, good citizens of our great city, let's get together, cooperation if you will. Let's grow Belleville and stop this vulgarity and slander. And please God, don't let our children hear this profanity and hatefulness. If anyone here feels the way I do, let me know. Together we can destroy this scourge in Belleville. Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the back of the room.
Greetings, everybody. Lee Griffin, 305 North Charles Street. It's an old saying that says, don't speak on the speck in my eye when you have a horse by in yours. I still believe for Belleville, this great city, the best is yet to come. I feel as though we have some great leaders here, but it's got to be inclusive. We've got to work together. We've got to stop being immature and show some high level of understanding. Because everybody loves this city. But when you have one party that's in control and they get set in a certain mindset, that can be detrimental. Diversity is good. I wish everybody the best. I didn't want nobody to win. I think we're all winners if we come together under one coalition and one platform. Again, I talk to you, Mayor. I'm the voice right now of the African American community, and I want to reach out and extend you guys some services so we can come together and work together. I've been in this city since 1968. I've never again met a person that I didn't like. But all the bickering, all the immaturities, we got to stop this stuff. People, we're going to be the laughing stock again. Mayor, I wish you the best. You was elected by the people, and regardless of what our personal views and differences might be, I'm going to respect you. I'm going to honor you and everybody on that board. But if we be at loggerheads with everybody, it's going to hurt the citizens that we represent. So, gentlemen, again, we got a lot of diversity here. We need to welcome more people. These kids that are out here with their pants hanging down, we need to lead by example. We need to have some positive programs for these kids to indulge in. Work on the family structure so we can get back together. Mayor, I'm not going to take much more of your time. But I appreciate the time to talk to everybody in this room. And my concern is us working together. I reached out to everybody around this board, no matter what my personal differences are with them. I respect Mr. Tim Carpenter, I respect Mr. Dean, I respect everybody on this side of the room. We've got to come together and work together. Because if we don't, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to be at loggerheads, and whenever we get through, we're going to get stressed out, and stress kills. So let's try to work together. Let's respect our mayor, let's have some civility, and let's start acting like mature adults. And if you guys need me, I'm here for you. I'm at your disposal. God bless you. Again, I wish you well in all your endeavors. I like Mr. Turner. I have nothing but respect for him. Ms. Fields, she's been a class act to me. So there's no losers if we all work together. God bless you. But sometimes you got to realize in closing that change is good. And it's time for positive hope and positive change. Thank you, Mayor, for your time. Everybody here, God bless you. I wish you the best again in all your endeavors, both privately and professionally. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Clint Forsythe. My wife and I, her name's Lindsay. I'm 33. She's 29 in a couple of days. We're young professionals. We are asking for a variance on 203 and 209 Garfield. 209 is structurally set up for a fourplex. 203 is structurally set up as duplex. They were originally built as multifamilies. We are asking you guys for a variance. I see a need. I see a lot of vacant buildings. I've loved those buildings for many years. I've been in this town for 10 years. I came to Belleville because I had an affordable place to live, and that's where I started. These units will be nice. They will be upscale. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. Nice to meet you, Mr. Mayor, by the way. But anyway, these will be nicer units. I want to bring the community together. And what this man said about working together is what we're proposing to do. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good people for the neighborhood. We want to use these buildings to usher in young professionals into the area. I'm going to be working with Connie Stillhorn to do some traditional marketing, as well as create a platform for bringing young professionals in. We represent the future, and quite honestly, maybe a little biased in saying this, we're a heck of a couple to come in and move into your neighborhoods. We just want to use the resources we have for the people, and we are originally at the zone board meeting. We had said we were a package deal. We had proposed to move into 400 Jackson and live there. I wasn't very settled in my mind and heart about making that contingent, because my goal and my vision is to bring this community together, start working together, creating programs for the kids, doing all these different things, instilling some values. There's a bigger vision, but the main thing is we're moving to 400 Jackson and working out a deal with the property owners. So regardless of how you guys vote, we're moving into the neighborhood. We want to use our assets and our resources for the people. It's unfortunate in this day and age, you have to create programs and institutions and different things for people to love your neighbor. Just love on people. You see a need, meet the need. Well, that's what we want to do. So I appreciate your time. It's a blessing to be here, to live in a country and to a city where I can let you know who I am and what we want to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Back to the room.
Hello, my name is Vicki Niederhofer. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Also known as Ms. NIMBY, because the proposed variances are literally in my backyard. And I have to say, we already have programs. I'm joined here by some of my colleagues who work in those programs. I'm a labor market economist for the state of Illinois, and we actually have data available. 38% of the housing in Belleville is rental. And we have many, many, many available units. Now, if you want to flip houses, this is an awesome place to do it. But I want to bring up a little subject called bathrooms. And professionals don't want homes with one bathroom. Okay, let me say that again. Professionals do not buy homes, do not rent homes with one bathroom. And there are case studies where this is evident. Beautiful rehab, stairs, and one bathroom. Barriers to success. So before we grant variances, I implore that we stick to the single family model. I took a photograph because at my previous presentation to the board, we were told by a certain alderman that the apartment complex there wasn't that bad, and truly it isn't, but there were 9 children playing in my side yard. Little, they're beautiful, but not a parent one. So before you start changing up the rules, you know, perhaps we can just take some compassion on the people who invested in this beautiful city. I bought my car here. I went to the Jeep place today. I drove down 17th Street. Awesome. You know, I didn't really see that until I took it instead of Frank Scott. Somebody around here has vision. So I hope that you use that vision. Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of stuff in the paper and I think, am I in the same place? I see my buddy over there from the Abbey. Is that a TIFF? Awesome. An incredible place. So I want to stay here, but frankly, if we tip past 40%, I'm an economist. I don't need variances where we're going to have street parking and, anyway, bathrooms. One bathroom, a problem. Thank you.
Well, your address, ma'am?
209 East Monroe.
Okay,
I look out my butler's pantry at those lovely row houses.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, wait a minute, gentleman in the back of the room over there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to come personally and congratulate the mayor. I didn't get a chance to get in touch with you and speak to you. You've been kind of busy lately. So I'd just like to congratulate you on a well-ran election, no dirty play, and I'd just like to know that you didn't involve yourself in all the mud throwing that was going on the radio and things like that. Never heard any bad talk coming from you. You ran a good, clean election, and I respect you and the rest of the good governing party for what you guys are doing here, and well-fought election. Congratulations on another term. And I'm just getting into the whole political roller coaster ride myself, and I went and voted early, absentee on Monday. And I noticed that there was a spot on the ballot that there was no candidate, and it was for the regional school board trustee. So I wrote my name in, and I had my wife write my name in. It was kind of like a real thing. And we were like, yeah, man, you gonna win, like, you know what I'm saying? So I went to my house, and I got a gang of my business card, and I went out to the streets, and I just went passing them out, just passing these bad boys out. And I'm just telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, vote for me, man, so I can get this school board trustee job. And I'm like, guaranteed 6 years. I'm like, there's no candidate, so I'm a shoe-in to win. I'm just telling everybody this. So Monday, I passed about 150 of my business cards around Belleville. I was over there in the Dollar Tree parking lot just getting on everybody's nerves. So Tuesday, I actually looked up the policies for the write-in votes, and it said that you had needed to put in a letter of intent for your votes to be counted. So I was totally disheartened. I'm like, oh man, I didn't even put in a letter of intent. I'm like, man. So I'm like, can I call up there today and put in a letter of intent? So I couldn't. But I called into the election board. They were totally busy. But the guy, he took his time and he answered my questions. I asked him what the policy was on the write-in candidates, and he told me about the letter of intent. But he said it didn't matter. He said we were counting the write-in votes as they came in. It didn't matter. It didn't need a letter of intent. So I said, fine. I was reassured. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna win this thing. I'm telling them, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna win this thing. But when it came down to it, the election results, I didn't get them right away. They didn't come in. They was like, we didn't get the write-in votes. We didn't get the write-in votes. So Friday, I talked to Bob Delaney, and he said that he had told me that the write-in votes didn't come in. So he said he was going to get back with me, but he said I was absolutely out of the question for the job. He was like, oh, well, you didn't put in your letter of intent, so you were out of the question. I said, well, that's fine, Mr. Delaney. I said, well, can you tell me how many votes that I got? He said, sure, Kevin. I'll look into it and I'll get back with you. Then he didn't call me back Friday, so I called him back today, and he told me, well, I don't know how many votes you got because I didn't look into it. And I said, well, you told me you would look into it. He said, well, I didn't have to because the law said your votes didn't count, so I didn't look into it. I said, well, you told me that you would. You gave me your word. Well, he said, that doesn't matter because you didn't sign a letter of intent, so I didn't have to look at your vote. But he told me the two guys who won, they were both write-in candidates, And I was just wondering, why wasn't anything posted about these guys? But the fact is that, what I'm trying to say is that city officials need to be people of their word, people of good character. If you say something, do it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a wishy-washy thing. It's been a lot of wishy-washy people going around here. You know what I'm saying? If you say something, be about that. Don't just say you're going to do it, then say, oh, you did, I ain't got to do nothing for you. Come on, let's be real people out here. If you say you're going to do something, be a man your word to do it.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Hi, my name is Mary Thurman. I'm here really
Your address, Mary?
I live in O'Fallon, Illinois, 406 East State. And I'm here as a character witness, and I did a little research on the request for abatement by, it's called Request for Abatement by Lindsay and Clint Forsyth.
Well, they're asking for a variance.
Yes, a variance, that's what it is, variance. I asked them to send me the petition that was passed around the last meeting because there were a number of signatures supposedly from people in the neighborhood. Number one, I've known them for a very long time. They have high moral character, they're well educated, they are investing in the city, they are the kind of person you want in your neighborhood who will take care of their property, put money into your neighborhood, and be a neighbor who will come to your meetings and support the same things all the property owners in that neighborhood will support. The other thing about the location of that property, they will live on the corner, and the two buildings that they want to refurbish and rent are right across the street, so they will be able to monitor their own property. But what I found alarming about this petition, when I actually looked up some numbers and made the phone calls, the people who signed it, several of them did not quite understand what it was they were signing. They were given an alarming tale about people coming in to do Section 8 in their neighborhood. That is really unfair and untrue. Also, people did not realize they were going to live there, and they didn't know the caliber of person who was investing in the neighborhood. Now, to collect signatures and use scare tactics will only drive people away from Belleville. Yes, you have fine residents in that neighborhood, but it's not necessary until you have all the facts to use scare tactics for something you really don't know about. They went and offered information to fellow residents that were pure lies. And people who actually knew them refused to sign it. This is something to strongly consider, because it could happen to you if you choose to invest in your neighborhood and someone wants to tell lies about you and get a petition and bring to a meeting such as this. It's not right. This is your community. You want truth. You want people to invest in it. These people will stay. They will invest. And that's their intent. And I just wanted to say that because I was alarmed. I couldn't believe that someone would not want this couple in their neighborhood. Even not want them as landlords, because I know them. So that's why I came tonight.
Thank you for coming forward.
Can you address the header on this petition? I don't know which direction the petition is.
Do you want to see it?
Would you read the top of it?
Okay, this is what they said in the petition. We, the following residents of Belleville Ward 6, are opposed to two zoning cases which are requests to permit multiple family occupancy in an area zoned as single family. One request would permit 4-family occupancy, which the building was originally built for. The other would permit 2-family. It was also built for that. And that's what it says. This would constitute a major step backward in lower property values. It would not. Derelict buildings lower property values. Those have been sitting there for years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
My name is Sherry Meester. My husband and I have lived at 601 South Jackson Street for 36 years. He retired from the Air Force. He had all kinds of job offers. We could have moved anywhere in this whole country. We love Belleville. We came here. We're in downtown Belleville. Our house was built in 1867. My husband served 11 years on the zoning board. He had many friends. He still has many friends. Unfortunately, he was unable to come tonight. I was on the library board as president for something like, I think it was 8 or 10 years. And I love the library. I love our neighborhood. I know all of our neighbors. We are still very fortunate to have people that stick together. And I will tell you something. I have never in my life told a lie. And I'm not going to have someone accuse me, even if not by name, of doing something that was wrong. If I've learned one thing in all my life, I'm also a retired RN. I know that I am always up straight with people. Even if they don't like what I'm telling them, I'm not going to cloud the issue. I had a call from some of our aldermen who are doing a great job, Mr. Martinson and Paul Seibert, and they told me about this, and they were concerned about this, and they said, how do your neighbors feel about it? It wasn't my #1 priority to get involved in this, because I do respect people wanting to do things that they want to do. But I went around, and it was during cold weather, it was bad weather, it was difficult walking, it was hard in this day and age to get people home, because they're working in the day, they're working at night shift. I don't go out at night shift for other reasons, have nothing to do with anything else, I just don't go out at night. And I went to exactly 75 people in the neighborhood that were either adjacent to these properties on Garfield Street. I didn't go all over town. I didn't go to any other city because they really have not the interest or the knowledge of this town. And it has nothing to do with the people that are applying for it. I don't doubt that there are very active young people, and we've all been that age. We've all had ideas. Of all the people I went to, I never once suggested Section 8, HUD housing, conditions of properties. I just said that we had come so far in our neighborhood from the time we moved in, because unfortunately by the time we moved in, there were a lot of elderly people there who their families were grown, the houses were going downhill, because older people, face it, just can't do as much, or they don't have the economical means of doing it. And I gave them what was on that sheet of paper. It was perused by many, many people around before it was even put down, in conjunction with both of our aldermen. And I said, here is what we would like to do, or vote on it, or whatever you want to say. But I said, you read it and you decide for yourself. I never once, I don't even know those people. They did, everything was fine. Of all the patio houses I went to, there was one family, only one, that said, I will not sign that. And I said, that's your prerogative. Everybody's entitled to their way. It turned out that this man, who I don't think he's here tonight, he said, I'm going to tell you right now that Mr. Forsythe is my best friend. And we went to college together. We're very good young professionals. I said, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. If you don't want to sign it, fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And he said, on top of that, I am requesting right now that you no longer take that thing around, because we are really going to make this city blossom. I said, I can't do that because you can't sign it. Other people have the right to sign it and read it or not sign it. And he said, okay. And I said, I've already talked to both of our aldermen. He said, who's our alderman? I said, I gave them their names and phone numbers. I said, please call them if you have any questions. I'm the messenger. And this is what we're interested in. We went, when we got here, it was multifamily living. We had these elderly people there who were having problems because they couldn't do their houses. They were actually renting out bathrooms in some of their houses to make ends meet and or to justify some of the need for housing or whatever you want to say. And these houses were going downhill. It was terrible. And at that time, my husband, who happens to have a degree in urban ethnic studies, not that I'm saying that it doesn't mean anything, it's just that we aren't dummies either. And he said, one of the things that we have to work with this city, if we can, is to get single-family housing, because it's the best thing to see the future of the city. And 22 neighbors at that time paid themselves to go forward, the ones adjacent to us. We came to the city and we said, we would like to have our houses all gone to city, single family. And we paid for it and it went through. Within, I guess it was a couple of months, Mark Curran was named as mayor. And he said, we need to have more. And at that time, I think that we were the only last remnants of multifamily in Belgium. And the city then got in on it and helped us, and they managed to get all that stuff back to single family. Those houses that we were talking about have been vacant for 36 years. The house that they claimed at this thing that was just vacated 4 years ago, I called Mark Curran on the phone and I said, do you remember the auction of that house? He said, I was 12 years old. Now, without giving his age, that house has been empty since Mark Kern was 12 years old. And it's just that nothing has been misrepresented. Every person on that list had every option to ask any questions they didn't want to. Some of them actually came up to me on the street that I wouldn't have asked. And they came over and said, we heard what you're doing, and we don't want. And these were people that are not master degree people. They're people that work hard for their living. And they said, our neighborhood is not doing justice to us because they're overcrowding everything. But the point being, I will go over every name that you like. And I will give you every address, because one of the things I've learned, I say what happened.
I appreciate you.
And I thank you, and I thank all the past and present people that were all in it, because they did not stand.
Okay, thank you very much, okay? Is there anyone else from the public this evening? Hearing that the public, I'm going to close public participation. I'll get to it, please. And I'm going to allow and recognize Mr. Turner would like to address us, and I'm going to give him the floor at this time.
I'm Jerry Turner. I live at 10 Ben Lewis Drive, Belleville. Have lived there for almost 50 years. Mayor Eckert, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. First, I congratulate the winners in the recent election, and I wish them the very best. The very best because Belleville deserves excellent service. I also thank my colleague who lost in the election, my colleagues, for their dedication through the years. And I especially commend Linda Fields for 35 years of service to the people of Belleville. She has been the epitome of a dedicated, competent servant, and she has set a standard of excellence that will be a constant challenge for her successor. As for me, I ride off into the sunset with pride in my achievements over more than 50 years in Belleville. I've done good work as a teacher, as a coach of boys basketball, as the award-winning principal of Belleville West High School, as an alderman for almost 8 years, and as the city treasurer for slightly more than 8 years. In my opinion, I've done a good and faithful work, a good steward of the responsibilities and opportunities that came my way. Now, as I leave public service, I challenge all members of the new government to put aside differences and focus entirely on what is best for the city of Belleville. Do not grandstand at council meetings to feed your ego, nor position for the next election. Learn to disagree without being disagreeable. Be willing to compromise for the greater good. Accept that you may not be all-knowing. Listen and accept the advice of the professional department heads of the city. Put the city first, always. To close, my life has had many highlights, and I profoundly thank the citizens of Belleville for these opportunities. Thank you, and God bless Belleville.
Okay, now going to the regular part of the meeting. First order of business is ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting held March 18, 2013. So motion by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Heister. Do I hear any questions? Yes, ma'am.
On page 4, I would like it added where it says a lengthy discussion followed about the insurance issue. I would like it added that the discussion was regarding the length of the contract approved last year and the difference in the process and the timing issue.
You have a problem adding that, gentlemen?
No.
So,
do we want to take a minute to word it like that?
You got it, okay? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we have a slight amendment per Alderman Holt. Do we have any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written with that exception as just stated, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Claims, payroll, disbursements.
Yes, Your Honor, move to have the claims, payroll, and disbursements be paid.
Motion by Alderman Anderson, second by Alderman Carpenter. Discussion. Yes, ma'am.
I did not receive a copy of the claims. The only thing I had was more budget pages.
Well, I wish you'd called her.
I wish I had to.
Yeah, I mean, but it's,
They were put down in the clerk's office. Okay, so it was just an oversight in the paper.
okay, I apologize, but, we should have called right away. We got you one shot, you wanted to email you one. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Silsby. Hayden. Seibert. Martinson. Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Orland.
Motion carries. Report, zoning board of appeals.
Case 8, Clint Forsythe, requesting a use variance in order to use the property at 203 East Garfield as a two-family dwelling unit in an A1 single-family residence. The case is before the council without a recommendation.
We want to read the two cases together because they really go, anybody opposed to that? Is that okay? Read them together?
And case 9, requesting a use variance in order to use the property at 209 East Garfield as a four-family dwelling unit in an A1 single-family residential district. The case is before the council without a recommendation.
We got a motion. We have a reading of case 8 and case 9. Alderman Seibert.
Yes, sir. Years ago, Your Honor, we all went around.
Use your microphone, would you please?
And we made that single family housing. And I have a copy here from the zoning board of appeals. The vote was 3-2 to deny, but you need 4. So I have a petition here, but we presented to the zoning board that night, denying the request.
Okay. Assistant Attorney Clerk will accept it.
And I make a motion to be denied.
So we have a motion by Alderman Seibert for denial. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Who's the second? I'm sorry. Alderman Carpenter made the second to deny. For 8 and 9, right, correct, gentlemen?
Yes.
Correct, Alderman Carpenter? Both cases. Yes, ma'am.
I had asked for a copy of that petition shortly after it was given to zoning, and I would ask respectfully of the alderman who represent that ward, did you speak to anybody who signed that petition? How many?
I don't know.
Okay, several names jumped out at me because they were your friends or acquaintances, so I did contact Mr. Forsythe and ask him to go with me and speak to those people. To a person, every single one of them said, what was told to me about this case is not what Mr. Forsythe is proposing. If I had been told the truth, I would not have signed this petition. The first person we went to, a businessman in the community who also lives in the town, said, I will help you get this done. The second person we went to said, you know what, I do drywall and painting. I would love to come over and help you. The third person we went to, I was not even acquainted with, and he said, you know what, I do gardening. I would love to give you some. I'm sorry, I feel that this is an excellent project.
Were any of those folks testimony at the zoning board?
Don't
I mean, I'm just asking. I was not there. But we're in. Okay.
No, but every one of them
And
said,
were any of those folks you're talking about, are they here tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You want the names?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if they would have been here tonight and spoke up, I think it would have, and if they'd have spoke up at the zoning board, I think that's, but I respect your comments, but I think okay.
Is this the same petition that we heard the header on?
I think so, but I'm not 100% certain, okay? We'd have to compare them, I have to.
Are there roughly 70?
Roughly 60, I think, names or something like that, roughly. I was told 60 approximately. Okay, Alderman Martinson?
Your Honor, I received no phone calls from anyone on that petition in favor of the approval.
Okay, so you didn't, nobody's called you, Mr. Seibert, did anybody call you saying they didn't understand the petition, they wish they hadn't signed it?
No.
And I can tell you, no one's called my office. I mean, not that they're gonna always, but sometimes I get bombarded with all kinds of calls. Okay, so that being said, yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I gave, the assistant, or the minutes from the zoning board when everybody talked.
Okay.
Because of the February
Right.
meeting, so the minutes are there, the ones that spoke.
And they were entered into your packet. They should have been from the zoning board, right?
Yes.
So you all had those present. Okay. I did see them several days ago. I looked at them. Okay.
And I have,
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask a couple of questions.
I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. The two houses, to make sure I'm on board right, or whatever it is, that'd be a total of 6 families, couples, whatever. So is there going to be enough parking? My other question is the lot size. We have a lot size for single-family homes. Is this even the lot size big enough for, if it would be single-family, let's say a tornado or a fire or something destroyed it, and they would have to rebuild? Is this lot even big enough for a single-family without having to go before a variance? We have to, isn't it 10,000?
It is now, yes, ma'am.
And then, what about green space? If we have young people like they're wanting to be brought in, young people still barbecue, they have parties and stuff like that. Where's the parking? Where's the green space? If it is children, where are these kids going to be playing? I drove past there. There is no parking. When you go look behind there, I drove through the alley. And another really worrisome part is, what if this gets started and they run out of money? Does it sit there like that again? And I pulled the application for the use of variance. Maybe I don't understand everything right, but I'm going to ask. Name of the property owner, first it had Randy Dabach, now it's got Peggy A. Dabach. Are all these people going to be involved in this?
That's the current owner selling it.
Okay.
So that's the present owner. The
But it's
Dabach's
not
present.
sold unless he can get the variance to.
Right. It's contingent upon the variance, I take it, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would assume that. But the Dabachs, in fact, Grandma Dabach, her parents owned the property when it was probably built. Oddly enough, my grandparents lived there when they first came to Belleville. So I'm very familiar with the property.
Well, it's, we're making a decision on this person's, but my concern is, what is the property going to be held up as far as in the proper, so it's up to code and everything. I just need to know a lot about this, and what really has me disturbed is I had a fire in my neighborhood, and the people could not rebuild unless they moved that house back some because of the lot size and green space. We keep preaching green space, green space. If a single mother moves in, or, because they can't say we're not going to rent to a single mother or a young couple with a child or something, where is there going to be places for these kids to play? Where is there going to be places? That is a total of 6 couples. So you figure 6 times, that's 12 cars right there. I mean, where is all the parking in that going to be? Your questions I would like answered before I go.
Your point's well taken. I think we discussed this at the zoning board, and those are questions that you have to mull over before you cast your vote.
Okay, but respectfully, we live in a very old town, these are 100-year-old buildings. And to propose to hold them to today's standard of a 10,000 square foot lot is just unreasonable. That has nothing to do with this.
Well, yes, it does, because if they move in with a family, where are these kids for the green space? Have you been past there? I mean, nothing, where are they gonna play? They're gonna be out in the street. They're gonna be out in the street.
You're each entitled to your opinion, and we've heard, yes, sir?
I got a question for housing. What's the structural condition of this property, the fourplex?
This is the first time for this.
Yeah, because it's not been a troubled property that's been, where it's not in a condemnation position, Mr. Carpenter, if that's what you're asking. So Mr. Sable's office probably has not been involved with it thus far. But it is true, it's been empty for years.
It's been empty at least 25 years.
Okay.
And I withdraw my second motion.
Okay. You withdraw your second? So so we have a motion to deny. Do I hear a second to deny? Dave Martinson, the other Alderman of Ward 6, seconds the motion now. Alderman Hayden.
Your Honor, I totally commend what these people are trying to do there. My concern is we've established multiple precedent before where we have rezoned wrong, right, or indifferent. I understand that they were built as quadplexes or duplexes years and years ago, but that was before we had zoning laws. Now, this city council just a few months ago voted down 813 Centerville Avenue, a request for a duplex because the people in that area didn't want a duplex, which is now a single family. So I do feel that the city council needs to be cautious on how we make decisions because we could be setting precedent to possibly engage ourselves in some legal issues. And that is my concern, Your Honor. But the biggest thing is the two aldermen from that ward, I feel it is imperative that the two aldermen there have issues with it, and I will support them because I would want to ask, wanted to ask the same respect if we were in that situation.
Okay, if your comments are duly noted, and can I hear anyone else from the council floor? Okay, so we have a motion to deny. I do want to say that I am very appreciative and excited, and I really haven't had a chance to talk to this couple. They've never made it as far as my office, and while I heard about this case from Emily after it went to the zoning board, I am very pleased that you're interested. I hope that you continue to be interested as we look at our comprehensive plan coming up, because we do have to take a strong look at where young couples and what we might do. I also am very understanding of the neighbors, because I walked the neighborhood that time as a new alderman to get signatures for the single family. I remember it very clearly. I walked many blocks because we firmly believed at that time all the things that have happened in that neighborhood to date, 16 years ago, weren't happening. And we believed in our heart that the single family ownership would make a difference. And I believe it really truly has. I also believe we've got to have some balance in the future with young couples can't always buy right away. And I do think that there's some opportunities. But this happens to be one of those decisions that maybe certainly everyone won't be happy. But I do hope, no matter how the outcome of the vote, and I wanted to say this ahead of time, I hope you don't give up on some of your desires to do things, because I do hear some good things about your efforts and your communication ability to desire to work in Belleville. Okay, we pretty much have talked about this for some time. Yes, ma'am?
Would you explain the technicality of why it did not pass zoning because of the required number of votes?
Well, I think the area, I think we have to have, the zoning says we have to have a certain number, right, Mike?
We have 4 favorable votes.
Our zoning ordinance, our code says we have to have 4 favorable votes to pass it to the council with a recommendation.
And that would mean there were 2 members missing.
I believe so. We had 3-2. We had a 3-2 decision.
Right.
So that's going to happen from time to time. These are volunteers that serve on the zoning board, and sometimes they have work that takes them elsewhere, family situations, etc. So we have a motion. Yes, sir.
I got a question for the current owners. Would you fix it up as a single family house? Because
Alderman Carpenter, he's not the current owner yet. He's got a contract with a contingency to buy based on the zoning approval. Okay?
I'm just concerned that 25 years sitting vacant, it probably needs to get fixed up.
And I don't disagree with you.
If we leave a single family, it's going to sit vacant for another 10 years, and it'll just be another torn down building in the city.
That is a valid point, very valid point. Anyone else on the council? Okay, a roll, yes, sir.
I do have a question. I drove past it, and duplex has, typically duplexes have 2 doors that are separated. These 2 doors are next to each other on the right side. I'm guessing that the far right door is just a set of stairs going up. Does somebody know how big that foyer is there? In other words, if we post it, can you get through it? Or is that a solid wall and the steps come real close to the front door? If that happens, it would almost be impossible to make it a single family, is what I'm saying. The others that we have voted down had two separate doors that were separated, and there's room for them to knock a wall on. I'm just asking, do you remember the structure of that house?
I wasn't born yet when my grandparents lived there, so I have no memories. I was before 56. So,
could we ask Mr. Forsythe?
I don't know, can you address that, Mr. Forsythe? Do you follow what Alderman Kinsella is asking?
Yeah, you're talking about the 203?
The far right door.
Okay.
How much room is between the door and the steps inside the house?
When you walk it, the steps are right there. The door goes straight up, and you have a staircase going straight up into the top duplex.
When you say it's 3 feet, 4 feet for that landing there?
Just the door, or there's not much. It's less than, I'm not sure quite understanding.
So if the door swings in, and you have to take, how many steps until you get up?
It's like 12, 18 inches. It's door fairly, it actually swings out, the door swings out.
The door swings out?
Yeah, when you...
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's true.
I'm sorry, maybe I am mistaken. Maybe the door does swing in, but it's not much space. It's a couple of feet.
Okay.
The doorway.
My point is that's different than the other ones we've heard about, because they had doors separated, and you could not hold in that room something. This might be a different situation. I guess it could go
I've not actually been in that property, so I really can't get any, I can't add anything to your comments. Anybody else? Okay. An aye vote is a vote to deny this particular variance on both case 8 and 9. That's some very good discussion, and I call for the roll call.
Alderman Heisler?
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella?
No.
Alderman Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Holt?
No.
Alderman Anderson?
Aye.
Alderman Wojciechowicz?
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter?
No.
Alderman Hart?
Aye.
Alderman Silsby?
Aye.
Alderman Hayden?
Aye.
Alderman Seibert?
Aye.
Alderman Martinson?
Aye.
Alderman Elmore?
Aye.
Alderman Schneider?
Aye.
Alderman Musgrove?
Aye.
Alderman Orley?
Aye.
The aye votes have it. It was good discussion, but we'd love to continue to talk to you about, come see me sometime about other projects. I'd love to talk to you, okay? All right, very good. I appreciate the way everybody handled this. It was very well handled. Okay.
Next case, Phil Taylor, requesting a use variance in order to use the property at 48 North Missouri Avenue as a duplex in a single-family residential.
I'm sorry, we go to 3 first. Case number 16. You must have my glasses.
Simon Sign Company, requesting a sign installation permit for area of special control in order to place an internally illuminated flush mounted sign totaling 16.66 square feet at 127 East Main Street, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district. Recommended by unanimous vote.
Do we hear a motion? We have a motion by Alderman Meyer. We have a second by Alderman Schneider to approve case number 16. Any discussion?
Is this a flashing or is it just static? It's just lit?
Can anybody answer that question for me? Is anyone, yes, you know, no, you're not from the property. Is anybody here from the property? Here? Yeah, flashing signs on the wall. They got a variance for that time.
Okay. So this is just, it's just lit, it doesn't change message or anything?
As far as I know, once again, I missed that zoning board.
It says internally illuminated.
I know, but does it say Edith Jones or does it say Edith Jones? today's special, you know, a band on Thursday. Okay.
We have a motion and we have a second to approve case number 16 based on the information we have. Yeah, they did recommend this unanimously, we know that. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye and have the proper ordinance drawn. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Case number 17.
Now, Philip Taylor request to use variance in order to use the property at 48 North Missouri Avenue as a duplex in an A1 single-family residential district, recommended by a majority vote.
We have a motion by Alderman Schneider. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Elmore on case number 17 to approve Philip Tegmar's request. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye and have the proper ordinance drawn. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next case, Pat Flynn requesting the use variance in order to build a structure at 2011 East Day Street to be used as a facility to fabricate deck parts and storage of automobile parts. And this is located in the A1 single-family residential district. Unanimous vote to deny.
Okay, we have a motion. Who's ward?
Motion to deny.
Motion by Alderman Elmore. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Arlett. Do I hear any discussion?
I did not drive by this one. What is new?
It's by K&K Garage there on East Main, A Street before you get to the overpass of the Metrolink where they got A Street blocked off. You can't go through. It's the corner house. There's a couple of duplexes right there.
So there's some residential and
It's
some.
all residential on Missouri. You come out with K&K, then there's the building where there's the recycling that goes on Iowa Street all the way down. That's about it. I mean, most of it is duplexes there.
This was in Ward 7, now it's in Ward.
Yeah.
No, it'll be Ward 7 because it's on that side of A Street. A Street's the dividing line. It's on the right-hand side and the
I
left-hand.
believe that's correct. It'll be in 7. Okay, any other discussion? The zoning board did unanimously approve to deny. Is there anyone else here that has concerns, questions? Are you ready to vote? There seems to be a little bit of confusion maybe, but for that reason, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Would you restate the motion?
The motion will be to deny case number 18, which is a request for a use variance in order to build a structure at 2011 East A Street to be used as a facility to fabricate deck parts and storage of automotive parts. It's in an A1 single-family residential district. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
On the request, I would want, could it be that we go back to zoning or find out more information, because this is where there's going to be a big structure built, and there's a creek in the back there, and bevel fence is also there. As far as the water running,
Now, wait a minute. No, wait a minute.
we didn't talk about that.
Okay, hold a second, though. You just said this is by the Metrolink track.
I was on the, I'm sorry, I have to stand corrected. I was on the 48 North Missouri. We're already on 2011 East A Street.
So what you described is incorrect.
Yes, sir. But this one where we are, there is right by a bevel fence.
Okay? And that's where I originally thought it was, but I wasn't going to dispute you. I just was trying to process that in my mind.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so you led me astray. Okay, now, we're at 2000 block of East A, and sir, you're a part of this? Yes. She asked a question, and I'm going to ask you to step up and try to address that, because I'm a little bit confused, and I'm sure others are here too.
Pat Flynn is my son-in-law. Builds decks here in the city of Belleville, fabricates decks. And we were asking for a building to be built there that he could use to do that. And we originally had asked to store automobile parts as well. we would like to, I don't know how to go about that, but I would like to revise that and do only the deck parts. We've changed the position of the building, we've changed the driveway. We are 25, our property is 25 feet from the old fence, the fence around their property. And they have a building there that's a monstrosity. And some of the neighbors were concerned that when they come out their back door, that they see that building, and they were upset about that. So what we're asking then, bottom line, is that we would have a building large enough for him to use to build his decks in that building. We don't have anyone come into a showroom. We don't have parking there for anyone. It's not a business like that. We're actually fabricating and manufacturing.
So let me ask this, sir. When you're going out A Street, you're on the left or right-hand side?
Left-hand side.
So you will be in front Ward 1. Okay, you will be on Ward 1. I was confused when she said J and K. I was thinking.
Well, I was still on the other.
Okay, so let's do this. Obviously, there's a little bit of confusion.
Can I make one comment
Yes, sir.
about the zoning meeting?
Yeah.
I was at the zoning meeting, and I talked to Mr. Lair on the way out, and a very nice gentleman. I've known him for years, been a very good neighbor to the people in 7th Ward. A couple of the issues that came up that night was water runoff and tire storage. And tire storage is a problem.
Now, is that going to go away if you take away the
It's
other?
gonna go away.
Okay, so let me ask you
It has
this.
already.
Are you willing to go back and repackage this up, your son-in-law possibly, to the zoning board this next month?
Absolutely.
Well, then I would suggest if someone's willing, that we would maybe send it back. And the only reason I say that is, it's my memory that we went through a lot of discussion over the years with Belleville Fence. I'm going back in our early days of getting on the council, some 14, 16 years ago. And we worked through a lot of this with the neighbors. So this might, with the modification, it might be a consideration, I don't know. I think what you need to do is immediately give, if the council will agree to table it.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. What if we just vote on the motion, they redo it, resubmit, and we vote at some point? You guys vote at some point? I don't.
Yeah.
They have to wait 6 months?
If they deny it, they have to pay again, they may have to, I think if we table it and he were to go back to zoning and modify it,
They could go back right away, we have to file. I
amend
Make a
it.
motion, Your Honor, to postpone this forward back to zoning for further information and recommendation. Second.
I would think that, I'd get what John would do.
Yeah, I think we have to remove our motion. We have to.
Okay, so you agree
Schneider
to,
and I have to.
do you agree to remove your motion?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have 2 yeses on removing that motion. We have a motion to postpone, is that the correct word you used? And send it back to zoning with the modifications.
Correct.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Carpenter. Do I hear any discussion? All in favor of postponing case number 18 and sending it back to zoning with some modifications as understood here tonight, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Case 19, Stephen Tipfells, requesting an area growth variance in order to decrease the required lot size to allow for sale and division of vacant lot between 2 residences, which will result in each lot being at least 11,000 square feet in area, rather than the required 16,000 square feet minimum. The subject property is 907 and 915 North 2nd Street, located in a B1 multi-family zoning district. Unanimously recommended for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request and proper action from.
Motion by Alderman Meyer. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Holt. Do I hear discussion? All in favor of this motion, have the proper ordinance drawn, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Case 20, John Young, requesting a use variance in order to utilize the property at 525 and 527 South 7th Street for a small office and storage facility in an A1 single-family residential district. Recommended for approval with stipulations.
Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Meyer to accept the zoning boards with the stipulations? And have the proper orders drawn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Markinson. Do I hear any discussion? Yes.
I
I don't think it says it in here, but shouldn't this be in the name of applicant only since it's an office?
I think it probably would be wise to do that. Okay? So you accept that, Mr. Martinson, Alderman Martinson, and Alderman Mar both? Good observation. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to name an applicant only. The stipulations, somebody have them right there in front. I did see them.
To pay the parking lot.
Yeah, pay the parking lot. Okay. Well, this is a night of old memories. That used to be West Side Produce. I worked there as a kid. So, man. I don't know. Well, probably not. We have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving this motion with the stipulations and having the proper ordinance drawn, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Case 21, Keaton D. requesting a special use permit for a liquor license at 3901 North Milton West, located in a C2 commercial zoning district. Council, the zoning board sends the council without a recommendation.
Okay, do I hear any, yes, sir.
I'd like to make a recommendation. Let Mr. Bell open a convenience store, liquor license at 3901 and Garden Club.
We have a motion by Alderman Richards. We have a second by Alderman Anderson, the Alderman of the ward. Do we hear any discussion?
Is this another case of the 4-vote thing kicking in?
I believe so.
No, there's 4 votes to deny.
Well, there was
No,
4
no,
votes.
no. 2 votes to deny, 4 to approve his recommendation. To have that.
It's like a tie, 3-3.
There's a tie 3-3.
No, it was 4-2.
It was 4. It was 4.
4 votes were for him to start that, and 2 were against.
What was the 9 or 4 nays?
It says deny with 4.
No.
4 no's.
There were 4 no's, but they didn't
No,
recommend, they didn't make a recommendation.
They made a vote.
Yes, they
So
did
they
not.
had to come up with a positive vote.
Yes,
But they
didn't. They did not come up with a motion that was a positive motion. They only made a motion that was to deny. So it came to us.
Not a recommendation.
Yes.
Zero, no recommendation. They should have. Zoning board, in the absence of doing so, not to proceed.
Okay, so we have a motion now to approve it, and a second. Any discussions on that motion?
Here's what the zoning thing said. Roger Wigginton made a motion to deny the request, and it was seconded by Steve Zimmerman. Vote went as follows. Rebecca Boyer, nay. Tim Price, nay. Tony Togus, nay. Roger Wigginton, aye. Steve Zimmerman, aye. Danny Nolan, nay.
So the ayes were to deny.
Those were all denied.
Yeah, so actually it passed the zoning board.
They never put
They
it.
never changed it, they didn't come back with the motion, okay. Okay, so we have a motion really to do what the majority said, and we have a second. Everybody understand that now? So an aye vote here will grant him the variance that he's requesting. Any other discussion? I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Ritzeritz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
No.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orley.
Motion carries. That's the zoning board together. Going to reports, all reports. Alderman Martinson, I'd probably just do you a favor. We probably want to do the budget separate, but if you want to do, how you want to do it?
I'm going to do them all separate.
Okay, go ahead.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the contract with Copy Systems Incorporated as a copy machine provider for the city. So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Martinson, second by Alderman Meyer. Do I hear any discussion? Roll, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say thank you to the finance director for the letters that accompanied this, that gave us all the details. It was very helpful to have that, and I appreciate it.
Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt. Aye. Anderson. Rudowitz. Carpenter. Hart. Sillsby. Hayden. Seibert. Martinson. Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove. Orland.
Motion carries. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I move to approve the month-to-month contract with Glacial Energy as the electricity provider for the city for 3 months while we try their megawatt program at the wastewater treatment plant.
Motion by Alderman Martinson, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Seibert, do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella. Meyer. Holt. Anderson. Rudowitz. Carpenter. Hart. Sillsby. Hayden. Seibert. Martinson. Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove. Orland.
Motion carries. Alderman Martinson.
Your Honor, I move to approve the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget. So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Martinson, second by Alderman Meyer. Discussion. Yes, sir.
John, my understanding is we usually have a end of the year meeting, I assume 2 weeks from tonight.
It looks like that's probably going to happen, but I will tell you, the finance director and I talked today, we always get the budget by this meeting because there is so much work to do in getting things ready that it is really very important, as we said to you all in January, that, this is the date that we were targeting to get the budget approved.
I understand, but we also, Your Honor, have newly people that were elected that I think should have a chance to get acclimated with this budget, and I would like to make a motion to postpone approval tonight and have it for 2 weeks from tonight, and set up a open workshop a week from tonight that we can allow these people to come in and get acclimated with the budget, and I think in the long run, that is going to be beneficial to the people of the city of Belleville.
I'll second it.
Hold it. That wasn't a motion, I don't believe, it was a statement.
No, you made a motion.
You made a motion.
Yes.
So you made a motion to postpone, and who seconded it? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now, I will tell you, candidates who ran, I think most of them have come to many meetings, and I'm very happy with that. We have said many times, and our finance director has repeated, said at all these meetings, please call with any questions. Some of the candidates called vigorously to Ms. Maker. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to put the city behind the 8 ball getting the budget, and nobody's called since the election to talk about, have they, Jamie? Since Tuesday night, no one's called to ask a question about the budget. We're going to have an orientation. We will go through the budget. But to sit down, as you say, to have meetings and go through the budget with the department heads in 2 weeks, there was very little discussion out of most of you at all the budget meetings we had when Jamie sat and went over it very clearly, very distinctly.
Your Honor, I understand that, and I respect that. The night of the discussion of the budget, the finance committee was the night before the city election. Now, we've had an election, and I think we need to do what some of the people suggested.
But we also had, Alderman Hayden, we had a budget meeting and a public hearing on each of the general fund and all the other budgets separate, right, Jamie?
Not a public hearing,
But we had separate meetings where they all came, and we had open discussion, and we were prepared to be there as long as necessary. Folks, I'm going to tell you, stalling this budget tonight, if you have a specific question, I think, but to put this budget off tonight is a grave mistake for bringing the city to a halt come May 1st. That meeting would be on the 29th, if that indeed is what probably going to happen.
How is it going to bring the city to a halt?
Well, I'm just telling you that we need to get this budget voted on. Jamie, what's your concerns?
I guess my biggest issue is all the candidates were able to come to all the meetings we had in February and March, and none of them came and asked any questions.
But we asked repeatedly before this budget was ever presented for a narrative. It has not been forthcoming. Mr. Hackworth?
Wait a minute, we just went through this, and all of you, and I don't, maybe you weren't here that night, I don't think you were, but all sides of the aisle gave Jamie all kinds of accolades for what a great job, and she did do a great job in preparing this budget, and the staff included. They clapped for him, and we all did. There was no such questions. You missed most of that one meeting because you had a conflict, you told us, and that's fine. But I'm saying, I agree with Jamie, no one has called or scheduled it. We would have sat down with any one of you, and we'll still sit down tomorrow or the next day. But the budget needs to be moved forward tonight. I feel it very, so we have a motion and a second to postpone, but I will tell you right now, I think that is a stall tactic that I think we need to move forward. So a yes vote is...
No, you don't put words in.
I'm telling you my words. I'm not telling you.
It's not a stall tactic. Let's educate and listen.
We've been educating the budget since January. Alderman Mark.
I just have a question. They won't be able to vote on the budget. So what's the point of us not voting on the budget to educate them before it's passed?
The budget's got to be passed before they take office.
I think we need to get input from the newly elected people that were elected as it relates to the budget that we're proposing that they're going to be working with next year.
And they've been at every meeting, though.
No, they have not. No, they have not.
We have a motion and a second to deny. Roll call. And I postpone
it for 2 weeks and set up a workshop a week from tonight to let the newly elected officials have a chance to review the budget and go over with staff. That is all I'm asking.
Okay, Alderman Payton, I heard you very clearly. An aye votes to postpone the motion tonight and bring it to the special meeting on the 29th for the budget approval. A no vote will then deny that motion, and then we'll go back to the original motion, hopefully.
Can I?
Yes.
I remember when us new aldermen were elected for the budget, we asked for single budget workshops with each department. Can this be in the record for next year's budget, that this goes and we have single workshop budgets? Because some of us, not everybody is an accountant.
Okay, Mrs. Schneider.
But I have the floor, right?
Go ahead.
That we do this and it goes on the record that it happens for next year's budget. Yes, this budget's eventually going to, but it gives, like Mr. Alderman Hayden said, to give the new alderman an idea of what's going on and what's coming. And I just think if we pass it, it's before the 1st of May, so we've got it, it's all ready to go.
Okay, so let me say this. Workshops, we're not going to change. The professional staff sits with the finance director and with the mayor, and we bring the budget forward. You've had it for months. You've had every opportunity for months to call the finance director, to call the department heads, to call my office. And only a few of you have raised a handful of questions. Is that correct, Jamie? Fair to say, and you answered them right away. Now, the days of 20 years ago, when the aldermen sat down with the department heads and did the budget, are over, since we have a department CPA finance director who puts the budget together with the professional staff. Now, we can question, but nobody's questioned anything. You've had that budget for 6 to 8 weeks. And have you called Don Sachs or Bill Clay about a question in the police department? I don't think so, because they would be telling me if we had issues. The fire department, you've all had 2 months at a minimum. So let's don't make the public sound like we're holding back here and not communicating, because that is not the case. That is not the case.
Your opening comments were key.
Okay, so we have a
Not
motion.
going to change.
We have a motion to deny, and we have a second. If you vote aye, or to postpone. If we vote aye, we postpone. If you vote no, then we'll go back and reconsider from there.
Just one quick point. The budget can be changed and is changed. 4 years, I've seen it change every month.
Unfortunately, we have to, Alderman Elmore, because things happen. It is a budget. It's a working tool, a document, but it does have to get changed. And there will be things, I can tell you right now, that will change this current budget. But we have a professionally put together budget that's before you tonight, that you've had for at least 8 weeks, that's a working tool as in other years, that we need to vote on.
Well, you may be misunderstanding me. I think it needs to be voted on. I don't like it, but I'll talk about that later. But you asked about why we would do this. Well, St. Jacob, Illinois, just last year or 2 years ago, was frozen because their budget was not in place. And I certainly don't want to see that happen to Belleville.
Nope, I
Now,
don't
do I
know.
like this budget? No, I've got a real issue with it that I'll bring up when we get done with this vote. But we have to have a budget before May 1st. We have studied it for 2 months. But I hope there's some serious changes to be made. That's all I have. Just want to make sure that everybody understood.
So
The
if
budget
you,
changes every month, regardless of what we vote on. The budget's going to change next month, the following month it's going to change again. the following month
that
it's
is a
gonna change
fact.
again.
That is a fact. We have a motion and we have a second to postpone tonight's budget vote. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler?
No.
Kinsella?
No.
Meyer?
No.
Holt? Anderson?
No.
Berjewitz?
No.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Hart?
No.
Silsby?
No.
Hayden?
Aye.
Seibert?
No.
Martinson?
No.
Elmore?
No.
Schneider?
Aye.
Musgrove?
No.
Orlett?
No.
The noes have it as 12-4. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget? We have a motion by Alderman, Martinson, second by Alderman Meyer to approve the fiscal year budget 2013-2014. Discussion.
In that case, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion recognizing the last Tuesday's vote of the people. We have to vote our money in the budget, which I totally understand, for a added staff to the Economic Development Department. The people have made it very clear to me that places where it is at, so I'd like to make a motion to amend the budget and take the money out of economic development and move it towards putting an additional police officer on the street, and that's my motion to amend.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second to amend. We'll have to vote on the amendment first. I will just tell you this. The police chief and I met today, and we're working on some things that have developed real recent. And I can't go into details, we're not ready yet, but I will tell you, I will ask that you pass the budget as we have it presented, and stay tuned as he and I and others come forward with some other plans coming up here as we have found out some things and have been enlightened on some things in recent days. So, we have a motion now, we have an amendment that we have to vote on first, right, Mr. Clare? The amendment is to take the money out of economic development and to put it towards a police officer. If you vote yes, then we'll have to still vote on the budget afterwards, but we're voting on the amendment first. The vote no on the amendment will then bring us back to the original vote.
And why is it coming out of economic development?
That's his motion, I don't know why.
Can I ask him?
It's very simple, Mr. Elmore. If we're going to add a staff person, and right now in this budget, we're only providing money to have 2 staff persons, one in administration and one in economic development. If you're asking me which is more important, adding a person in economic development or adding police to the streets, I'm with police to the streets.
I was prepared to add an officer myself, but I see that $765,000 more budgeted than we had planned on. We saved another $30,000 in copier expenses, and we have the gaming revenues. I was just, my motion was going to be general fund, but you say economic development, take the vote.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor, an amendment on the floor. We have a second by Lillian Schneider, I believe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you vote yes for Mr. Hayden's amendment, then we're changing the budget. If you deny it, we will continue then to try to vote on the budget as it is, been presented for the last 8 weeks at least. And as I told you, I will tell you, We sat today and we are working on the issue of an officer, and we'll talk about that in the future.
That's information I'm not.
Okay, I'm just telling you my side of the story. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler?
No.
Kinsella?
No.
Meyer?
No.
Holt?
Aye.
Anderson?
No.
Ridgewitz?
No.
Carpenter? Art?
No.
Silsby?
No.
Hayden?
Aye.
Seibert?
No.
Martinson? Elmore?
No.
Schneider?
Aye.
Musgrove?
No.
Orlett?
No.
Those have it. The amendment was denied. We're back to the original motion. Okay. We have the original motion. Is there an additional question before we vote?
Yeah, I just had a question about.
Okay, Alderman Irwin, you can go first. He's had several.
My motion was, my thought was that with the $765,000 more, maybe Jamie can step up and explain this. The $765,000 more than we planned on in our budget, again, the copier and the gaming revenue that we know are coming. Why wouldn't an additional police officer, which I agree with Alderman Hayden, the people have asked repeatedly for, I think every one of us, I'm talking to the 16 aldermen here, we've all heard from the constituents. I'm assuming my constituents are saying the same thing to me that they're saying to you, they would like to see more police officers. The money's there. Do we want to have another police officer? I mean, it can be done. Do you want to shore up our police department? And that's a question from 16 aldermen answered. I see $765,000 more than what we had planned on. I see a $30,000 savings, which is just one time in a copier. I mean, we're there. We can do this.
Okay.
Do we want to do it?
Let me state this. As I told you a minute ago, the chief and I talked today. We hire somebody, most of the people we hire don't have academy, correct, chief? Most. They can't start an academy until September. So if you bear with us, we are looking at some things. I'm looking at a lot of things. A lot of this, I decided, was kind of no sense in really studying any deeper until the election was accomplished last Tuesday. I immediately went to work and we sat down today and talked about a host of things. I will tell you that I believe we'll be back at the table with a proposal on several things to try to strengthen concerns. However, I would ask you tonight to vote for the budget as it is and let us get all the stipulations and all the facts together and stay tuned, and we will be back with you. Because we honest to goodnessly did sit down and talk, and it was just a preliminary talk of some things that we'd like to consider. And there's some new light, shed on a few things. So, but we can't do it all tonight. We got a budget at hand, and you knew that. Yes, sir. He was next, and then you.
To state again, Your Honor, that tonight as I did the Finance Committee meeting. And again, I'm trying to show that I'm listening to the people. We have $400,000 budgeted for the Meredith home to be demolished. We've proven in the last 3 months that the viability of the ones written off Turner Hall is now changed. The cost to fix it up was not as drastic as was initially thought. $400,000 would go a long way to other projects. I totally understand and respect that the agreement that we have with the Cook family. The $400,000 to go towards the seed money that we could use to start looking into building a new pool and water complex. If we want to honor his family and tragic death of his daughter, we could name that after and make that an offer, because that would be something that children will use forever and ever and ever, and even make it even a greater memorial. Therefore, and looking at the money of $400,000 as relates to curbs and streets, I make a motion that we amend the budget and remove the $400,000 for the demolition of the Meredith home from TIF 3 to 17.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second for another amendment, but I will tell you, I wish you would have brought these amendments to the meetings when we have voted in committee and public hearing on the budget. No one said virtually anything, and you were all there. Okay, we have a motion and a second to vote on another amendment to take the money out for the Meredith home and put it towards what?
Put it towards, seed money towards looking into what we need to do with the pool, and put it towards fixing more streets.
So is both of those endeavors? It's going to be for seed money and for fixing streets?
Yeah.
Okay, 400,000.
That's a lot of money. May not seem to be.
It's not seed money for the pool.
We're going to need a study, don't we? Don't we need a study?
We're studying it right now. Mr. Steiner is
We're
doing.
going to need a professional study.
Okay, we're working on that. I think you've already, go ahead.
Alderman Polk, give her a question. She had her hand up.
Well,
You said her.
okay, I was going to her.
Hold on this thing.
Okay, so you've got a question after the amendment.
Yes, please.
So we have another amendment to vote on.
My question is, in the administration of hiring someone, is this going to be, I may not be right, that's why I'm asking the question, is this going to be a secretary or a person in your office to understand?
It's going to be another person in administration, as we said. The duties have changed. You
But
all.
what office, where?
It's going to be the duties right now are going to be divided up between the ladies in my office.
So another
and-
secretary in your office?
You're not listening. Right now, my one assistant does most of her time is consumed by this website. She does the newsletter, she does marketing, and now she's engaged in just starting the preliminary at the council's urging to televise the meetings here with Lindenwood. They've asked for a full-time position, and I told them we couldn't give them a full-time position, but I will try. So I'm going to separate their duties, and yes, we're going to have to pick up a person. We've also picked up, one of the girls has to be the liquor commissioner, deputy, and now gaming, which could bring us in revenue. The citizens of Belleville voted for it by a large majority. So we now have gaming just getting started. We have, as I explained in the committee meetings, Alderman Schneider, we have a number of things that have changed and have happened that have expanded the duties of the people in administration, have just exploded. So I think we've made a very... Administration is my office, I'm the mayor. So it's my office. But I'm telling you that I'm explaining, and we explain this at committee meetings repeatedly. Ladies and gentlemen, out in the public, this is not new information. So, we have a motion now to change to the TIF dollars, which I want to state one other thing. No money from TIF, well, I take it back. A very small percentage of TIF money can go towards any salaries, and it's very specifically designated. But when we talk about hiring another cop, don't think by amending this TIF budget we're going to be able to do that. The TIF budget does help buy the new fire truck and the police cars and all those things. But TIF is not going to solve the hiring practices of the city hiring more policemen. Not on its own.
Nobody said that in the motion.
Okay, but it's been alluded to. Okay. But his motion is to amend the budget and to take the $400,000 from the Meredith home and to put it towards seed money for a pool and street projects. So an aye vote for this amendment would make that change. We'll stop the Meredith home demolition. And a no vote will then bring us back to hopefully a vote on the original budget. Everybody understand? So a no vote says no to this amendment and goes back to the original. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler?
No.
Kinsella?
No.
Meyer? No. Holt? Aye. Anderson?
No.
Rudowitz?
No.
Carpenter? Hart?
No.
Silsby?
No.
Aiden?
Aye.
Seibert? Marvinson?
No.
Elmore?
No.
Schneider?
Aye.
Musgrove?
No.
Orland?
No.
Back to the same vote, it's 12-4. Noes have it, no amendment. We have a motion by Alderman Martinson, we have a second by Alderman Meyer to approve the budget. Do I have any other questions?
I'd like to make an amendment.
Sure. Oh, yeah, she's next. I did tell her she's next. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a comment that I am frustrated with the system. That to have this $765,000 and for the council not to be considered. You aren't asking what our opinion is, what our priorities are.
We've been asking your opinion since January.
You have not come and said, hey, this is extra money. What do you guys think we ought to do with it? You just said, we will come to you, things are not gelled yet. You're making the decision and you're asking us then to vote on it, rather than including us in the process.
First, you've been including the process. Let me tell you, let's be perfectly clear. The budget is a tool. We are forecasting this hopeful extra money. But we've also made it very clear, and you've been on long enough to know, we're dealing with the state of Illinois, and we're dealing with an economy that's still very much in flux. The last unfortunate, I'm sad to announce that we got our January sales tax the other day, and it was down 6%. Scares me. Now the good news was it was just down 6% from last year, and going back the last several years, it was still up. So I'm not sure what happened last year, but all I'm saying is, first of all, our auditors have told us we need to build up our reserve. If we want to get to a AA bond rating, and we want to get to having some money in case there's any kind of a disaster, we're trying to build up our reserves. We've been very clear about that.
Then why are we even considering spending any of it? Why don't we just make the decision?
Because we still, in my opinion, and what I've done here the last 8 years, is try to balance things so that we can continue to grow the city. And we've listened. People want the cable TV. People wanted the new website. You voted for it. There's a lot of things that go with. You can't just say we want these things and then not put the dollars behind it. Everything costs money. So hang on. We are presenting a budget that you're all well aware of. We've been very upfront. You've gotten memos and packets and literature since January about this budget. And Jamie's door and my door have been wide open to comments, meetings, we'll do whatever you want, and virtually we've heard very little to none. So to stand here tonight, especially when we've had several committee meetings, and virtually not a word. That last finance meeting was 29 minutes. Now, why weren't these questions brought up there? It's not right. But I don't think the press was there that night. I think some reason she didn't make it. So I'm sorry, that might be part of the answer. Alderman Carpenter.
To answer your question, Mayor, the only question that was answered was there's no police being added to this budget in the city. And that was the only question I really cared about. I'll make a motion to use the $765,000 from the state of Illinois and the $400,000 from the Meredith home, which would be $1,165,000 to be budgeted in the police department, to use the $765,000 to hire police, and use the $400,000 for police infrastructure.
Alderman Carpenter's made a motion. Is there a second? We have a second by Alderman Holt. This would be an amendment we need to vote on, but once again, I'm going to caution you. We have carefully put together a budget asking for your input for months. To change this budget radically tonight, I believe, is a mistake. We can work on the budget and change, and I'm admitting to you that we are looking to try to hire an extra officer. If we pass the crime-free housing, hypothetically, we're going to hire another officer, as explained. So I just caution you to stick to the budget tonight, since there's been no discussion in the last January, February, and March, primarily, 3 months, been no real discussion or any real ideas brought forward about change until tonight. So we have a motion and we have a second. Alderman Schneider?
You said hire an officer for the crime-free housing. that officer isn't gonna be where it's out on the street.
But we will
7 days
replace,
a
we
week.
will replace that officer is what we're
So it'll be
doing.
another one.
If we, I made it very
Will it
clear.
be to the police department, or will it be like the rest of them we have over there? That they come from the police department as double dipping, coming in just to get another pension?
You know, don't clap because she's got a mistake here. If we do crime-free housing, we're gonna put a sworn officer, an additional one, into the housing program. And if we take one off the department, which most likely will be a seasoned officer that's already, you know, got experience, we will then hire a young officer to replace that person on the police department. That's been upfront and clear the whole time we've done this. We've never hidden that.
The crime-free officer isn't going to work, have different shifts where they work either, you know, the 7-day shift. It's gonna be a Monday through Friday job. We need officers 7 days.
I just told you we're gonna replace the person if we put them in there. So they're not gonna lose.
Why put that?
And if you listen to if you've listened to any of the crime-free housing, Alderman Schneider.
I did, I was there and I voted no on it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry for that. But here's the thing, if you listen to the statements and the statements by several of the landlords, Collinsville has reduced some of their crime dealing with rental property by 30%. The state's attorney this past week on Friday told me he's writing all of you a letter encouraging passage of the crime-free housing. He's putting one together right now for St. Clair County. So, you know, I'm telling you, we're not bringing bogus stuff here to the table. We're trying to come up with tools and a plan to grow this city and do it, but we have to do it. So we have a motion now to give the police department $765,000 plus $400,000 of TIF money from the Meredith home to hire people and to do what they need. We have a motion and we have a second. I'm just going to say quite openly here, I suggest we stick to the budget. Alderman Hayden?
Mayor, I want to point out again, you say people are not listening. You're not listening. We had discussions, yes, in January. First of all, everything I said tonight, Mayor, I said at the finance meeting. I said everything tonight that I said at the finance meeting. The only thing I didn't do was put us through the motions during the finance committee meeting because I wanted to wait and listen and see what the vote was. And the vote Tuesday, that is why these motions are here tonight. Because I'm listening to the people, Your Honor, and I don't think that you're listening to them. There was a vote that they want change in the city, and the change that they want is they want more police, and they want more openness, and they want more transparency, and you're wanting us to stick to the plan and stick to this budget, and in one instance you talk as if it's concrete, then in the next instance you tell us it's a planning tool, and then you tell us to stick to with me, and I got a plan, but I don't know nothing about your discussions or your plans. So obviously, nothing's going to change with you.
Well, I disagree with you, but we can disagree on that. We have a motion and a second now from Alderman Carpenter. Okay.
We didn't have enough people.
Okay, so we're ready for this amendment. Okay, let's go forward here. Okay, let's go forward here. There's a motion from Alderman Carpenter. I think I explained it. An aye vote would approve his amendment. A no vote would deny this amendment and get us back to possibly discussing the budget that's on the original motion. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler?
No.
Alderman Kinsella?
No.
Meyer? No. Holt? Aye. Anderson?
No.
Rudowitz?
No.
Carpenter?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Silsby?
No.
Hayden?
Aye.
Seibert? Martinson?
No.
Elmore?
No.
Schneider?
Aye.
Musgrove?
No.
Orlett?
No.
Picked up one vote. The noes got defeated by 11 to 5. Motion was denied. Alderman Holt.
I have a question about the TIF budget. Specifically TIF 3. Is every single penny budgeted for in TIF 3, or is there a bit of adding for unknown projects?
very small padding.
There's not the surplus that we've had some years, but it will depend on how as Mrs. Matron explained in the last budget meeting, when we dealt with TIF, if we never know until the taxes come out, we could get, she always budgets very conservatively what our income will be. The last couple of years, we budgeted low and we received more money than we anticipated, okay? But I will tell you, this year we have used up more of the TIF budget trying to finish a lot of these projects and get things done than a lot of years. So there is an ordinance, there's a law, as the fact that you can't leave TIF money sit there too many years, you could lose it.
Well, and I do have some questions about the Shell Street one, about that specific thing.
Well, we're using that.
I know, but not what it was for.
No, it's all part of the plan. Infrastructure was part
The
of the plan.
plan was to put development over there at the Metro League station. That did not happen. It's still in the lots. That's what the plan is.
You're well aware that we're still looking at that. You're well aware.
No, I'm not aware of that at all. I've heard some stuff when I went to meetings outside of the city council. No.
No, we haven't had an update on the Shell Street.
Okay, well, we don't, Emily's not here tonight, and I don't have an update tonight.
Okay, I want to talk to you specifically about TIF 3 and the Belleville Historic Society and the property on North Hill. You made it very clear at the meeting on April 1st that the Belleville Historic Society had not asked for any money. It's a little bit shocking to me, so I went home and I sent an email to the members of that organization and received one back from Mr. Betts saying he had been in your office on March 1st, asked you specifically for TIF money, and you told him none was available. So could you explain how that happened?
First of all, I told Mr. Betts that before we can talk about the project, he has to get with Mr. Flynn and the judge and work out all the details, because what we went through on Washington needs to be done better. Okay? So he agreed, left my office, and I said, I'm not against that. I'm not against working with you. But before we can come, you have to come with a business plan, give me some estimates, bring to the council. What am I going to say? We're going to just put, $200,000 aside for this project. He had nothing to show me other than a concept of he'd like to try to save that property. I put him in touch with Mr. Flynn, and that process has started. I am not against that proposal. I am not against history. But they've got to get, first of all, through some hoops and some legal procedures to see if they can even acquire the property, and then they got to come up with a business plan as to what it's going to take. If they come back and he comes to this council in the future, that's an example where the council could amend the budget possibly and consider some help. But I don't even know how long it's going to take to make all this happen. He didn't have any specific numbers, and I disagree. I listened. I invited him to my office with no notice, and I was very open and receptive to him to get with Mr. Flynn and try to work this out. But I said that the budget was moving along very quickly, and at this point in time, there was no money put aside for this at the moment. But he didn't even have a request. He did not have a specific request or a plan in hand.
So can I make a motion to amend the budget that the city would add $25,000 to be granted to the Belleville Historic Society added to?
You could do it, but I will tell you, my recommendation is that we don't entertain that until we see a plan from them in detail, and I will gladly, there's a possibility, it might shock you, that I'll be all for it. But to vote that right now without them having a plan or any details, I think is not responsible. And Mr. Betts has not been back to my office since that meeting. I know he has been in touch with Mr. Flynn. So.
Then can I ask that the city would request the court to take that property off of the contract?
I'm working with Mr. Flynn and Mr. Betts right now, and we're working cooperatively, and I think he knows what he needs to do. And if he doesn't, he needs to get back to Mr. Flynn and I. There are procedures and steps that have to be taken. We're getting away from the budget at hand. Okay?
I'll second Alderman Holt's amendment.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your point about the timing.
So is there an amendment, or are we going to hold off until?
No, sir, I will hold off until we get this.
Okay, so there's no motion. So therefore, I can't recognize the second. So we're back to, we have a motion and a second on the budget. Alderman Martinson made the motion, Alderman Meyer seconded to approve the budget for fiscal year 2013 and 14. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
No.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
No.
Hart.
No.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
No.
Seibert. Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
No.
Schneider.
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Aye.
10 to 6, right? Ayes have it. We have a budget. Mr. Martinson.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to move to approve the budget amendments as recommended by the finance director.
We have a motion by Alderman Martinson, second by Alderman Seibert to approve the amendments of the budget director. Discussion. Roll call. Sorry.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden. Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert.
Yes, Your Honor, I have three motions, they've all been approved by the Rate Committee, if there's no objection.
Is there a problem with reading these together? Proceed.
Motion to approve the low bidder right-of-way in the amount of $93,890 for the 2013 sidewalk program. Motion to approve the low bidder electric rate in the amount of $62,849 for the 2013 traffic signal program. Motion to approve the low bidder right-of-way in the amount of $95,274.50 for the 2013 infrastructure program. Motion to approve the low bidder warning in the amount of $56,940 for the 2013 ditching program. A motion to approve the low bidder warning in the amount of $84,862 for the 2013 concrete patch program. A motion to approve a local agency agreement with Bell and IDOT in the amount of $1,758,000 from the Sunshine Avenue. So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Schneider. Discussions. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion's carried. We move on to Alderman Anderson.
Yes, Your Honor, on behalf of the National Sewer Committee, I'd like to make a motion to approve the interim request from the Environmental Resources Training Center and SIU Edinburgh from the wastewater treatment plant. My summary.
Motion by Anderson, second by Hayden to approve the motions from National Sewer Committee. Discussion. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. Okay, page 4 of 6. Who wants to make the motion on D?
I will.
Alderman Elmore, I recognize you have the floor.
Motion to approve membership-based fee system for Belleville's Dog Park to ensure dog safety and future improvements located at 110 North 6th Street in Rotary Park per recommendation of the Parks Board. Also, the membership system was recommended by the Dog Park Committee.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Elmore, second by Alderman Carpenter. Discussion. Alderman Hayden, I'll recognize you first.
Your Honor, I think this is an exciting new addition to the city of Belleville. My concern is, in speaking to citizens, is the fee. You get a card, you go to the library free. I see no reason, at least at the start of this, to try to make this work. I understand, I totally understand what we're trying to do as far as who gets in and how they get in, but we're asking people to pay a fee that they're not even sure if it's something they're going to enjoy, and if their dog is going to enjoy it, and yet in order for them to even try it, they're going to have to pay a fee. I have no problem with the out-of-city fees, just the same as we do with the library, but I think if we want to make this a go, I have no problem with the gated, I have no problem with issuing cards, but I think they should be given to the citizens of Belleville initially free since they were the ones paying the card.
Okay, I appreciate your comments, I respect them. I think the best thing to do, though, is to get some explanation. I should have did this first. Debbie, to you or Jim, or who wants to explain a little bit?
I can address it since we started 3 years ago with it. I thought it would be great to be free at first.
Okay.
That would be awesome. And then I started talking to people who knew what they were talking about, like people at Nestle Arena, like people who have dog parks in other communities around us. Well, Fallon's, for example, is free. They have dog bite problems. When a dog bites, it will take off. If a dog bites and takes off and we can't find the dog, somebody's going to go through about $1,200, $1,300 worth of shots. Nobody wants to see anybody bitten. And the $24 just ensures that people are going to be responsible about it. The Fallon Dog Park has dog fighting problems, has dog biting problems. The Swansea Dog Park does not have any. And the difference from the experienced professionals that have done it before is that minimal $24 fee is what ours is. Other parks are more than that, not much more than that, but a few dollars more. So $2 a month for a private membership park that gives that person a feeling of participating and ownership and picking up after themselves. And plus, what the Parks Department has designed has been state of the art. And I can guarantee you that the people who've been working on this for 3 years for the Dog Park Committee started with they'll only help and participate if it's a fee-based park. Anything else turns into a raucous, problematic situation that can be downright dangerous. Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, that's fine. I think that conveys it, right, Debbie?
And again, I respect that and I understand it. The checks and balances that you're trying to establish, Mr. Elmore, could still be done with a card system and everything, but not necessarily charging the citizens of Belleville up front to use the park.
Well, the card system, the equipment, the doggy bags, I mean, none of that's free.
I understand, but, and again, I'm not, you do know in your statement you said that private membership feeling. The private membership feeling
that they know
should not be conveyed on the public when it's a public park.
That they know that not any dog is going to come in that could maybe not have their shots up to date.
They can be registered. They can be registered the same way with the same card system. The question is, should the citizens of Belleville who are paying for this and building this have to pay a fee? And right now, until they get a chance to use it and see if they like it and see how it works, I think that we can set this system up. But why are we going to charge our own citizens to use it?
That's a good point about using it now, because they are. They're down there now. I mean, you could say this is a free trial right now because the gates aren't really up. But there are people in there with dogs running around, and that's their prerogative. It's an open park right now. But you have to have a secure situation where people are participating that know that their dog is in a secure situation. You have fees for playing t-ball, for soccer, for riding in the Tour de Belleville, for playing softball. Those are participatory events. This is a participatory park. It's an interactive park, and it's going to be very interactive. like with agility, what do you call it, dog agility stuff. There's more technical terms than that, but,
That was good.
you know, it's a participatory thing that, just like if you wanted to play baseball, well, it'd be great if we could just let everybody ride the Tour de Belleville for free, or ride, you know, or play T-ball for free. I mean, Corey charges, right? I mean,
It's a private organization.
okay, well, this is a membership for the benefit of the dogs. That's who it's benefiting, that they know that their dog is in a situation that is safe and secure.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
We're charging a fee.
Alderman Schneider, you're next.
I may be wrong, but did I hear that, is the Barcom is donating the cards and the reader thing, we're not having to pay for that? I mean,
I don't know the details. Alderman Elmore.
They're donating the locks. I don't recall the price of the,
about $6,000 but then we are paid for the cards.
cards and printer. This printer is something that makes the ID card, which is an ongoing expense, so there is expense there. But the lock that received the swiping card was donated by Barcom.
So we are using taxpayers' money for this. We've been using money to buy furniture stores, tear down other buildings. Can it not, is that not in a TIF area down there? First of all, I need to ask that question.
It's in a TIF area.
Could the money not come out of there? They still have to come register their dog, proof of vaccination.
We can do physical things in the park. I don't know. I mean, I think, I'm listening, this committee's met for many times, and I think they feel pretty strong about this, it's fair to say. I have not sat in on our meetings.
The only difference is you're not charging. They would still have to fill out the forms, they would still have to have the ID. The money comes out of the TIF that is in, and the people get to use it. And there's still the security, because they filled out the paperwork the same as if they were paying part, but it comes out of the TIF money.
Debbie?
I'll make one other comment. The $25,000 St. Clair County grant was under the premises that we would have membership. So was Nestor Farina, and so was the equipment company that we paid $5,000 from. They were all in the assumption.
So that if we change this, it sounds like it will potentially jeopadize the donation.
Membership is in paid membership or just membership? Did it
Paid
specify it had to be paid? Because I don't remember that discussion before.
It was in the packet that was presented to the grant.
I don't remember that discussion of that wording ever being brought up at the finance meeting or at the one park board meeting that was at 2 months ago.
Not only that, but again, the volunteers were under the impression that they were volunteering to help establish a paid membership.
Okay, so we have, yes, ma'am.
I also came at it from the perspective that I felt like it should be free, but after speaking to Alderman Elmore, who had clearly done a lot of his homework and had local examples to show, I kind of changed my mind and thought, it really is a very minimal fee, but I do want to know if I keep my dog in it, that he is safe.
Well, that's why we.
I also want to compliment staff or whoever put together that trifold brochure. I thought it was excellent. I thought it had very good advice on how to get your dog used to that. But I do have one question about the photo. What are you wanting from that?
That's going to be on the membership card.
Does that mean only one member of my household can come and use it?
We will allow you to have $3.
No, I meant, if my picture is
Photos
over there,
of
and
the
my
dog.
daughter's home,
Photos
she can.
Photos
of the dog.
No, wait a minute. Photos of you with your dog.
Okay, well, the purpose is so we know the dog.
But that's,
The
okay,
photo will be on the card and
photo of the dog.
if we said a lot of them like their photos taken with the dog, we're going to honor that also.
Okay. But that was my question, was not about the dog, about the people, because it does say photo of you with your dog. I just want to know that my household gets one swipe card. So whoever from my household is taking the dog can use the
That's
swipe
only
card.
if you wish to have your photo taken with the dog.
And you might want to check with the dog. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Yeah. So, we have a motion and we have a second to approve the dog park committee's recommendation. I will move this forward to make it happen. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz. Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
No.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Ayes have it, 14-2. We're moving on.
Are we gonna have a ribbon cutting or an official opening?
When we get to that point, we'll be glad to do it.
Okay.
I'm asking for a motion to approve hiring a probationary firefighter on April 17, 2013. Alderman Silsby made the motion, second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
No.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. Okay. First motion, Alderman Holt and her husband are bidding on this. I did check with the city attorney. It's allowed, but I have to ask you not to vote.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna ask if you would vote on them separately.
Well, we will vote on them separately. So this is about selling the vacant lots. We'll take them one at a time. And the first motion is to sell a vacant piece of property that the staff sent to the housing committee. The housing committee approved. It was advertised properly. Sealed bids were received. And we received, I think, one bid on all these, right, Bob? On these. There was other ones we did receive no bids on. How many total we have? 10? 10 properties, and there's 5 that returned. Yes, ma'am.
You know, and we talked about maybe posting a sign on the property the next time we do that. Since half of them didn't even get any bid at all, I think we.
But most of the neighbors, many of the neighbors were the ones, obviously, and that's who we're hoping for to take ownership. So anyway, we have a motion first. I'd ask for a motion first of all to approve the sale of the lot at 307 Walnut Street to Ralph S. Holt for $1,000. So motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman Kinsella. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt.
Abstain.
Anderson. Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. The next one, I'd ask for a motion to consider selling 613 East A Street to Thomas E. Smith for $2,500.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Heisler. Any discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Silsby. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. The next one is 1313 Archer Street to Judith L. Hagan for $500. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Heisler. Discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carries. Lot 14 in Bell Valley Industrial Park to Larry Glenzer for $800. Before I ask for a motion, I want to do a little educating because I think it's been misconstrued. We explained this. As explained, a number of years ago, Mr. Glenzer came to Belleville, I believe it was, and I see Tom Bell here, so don't hesitate to correct me if I have some of this wrong. 2000, I believe it was, Larry Glenzer came to buy a lot in Bell Valley Industrial Park. At the time, he was looking at a lot up more up front. Mr. Malloy at that time, who was then Director of Economic Development, told him that the city owned a lot in the back. We could make him a better deal and get him started, and we'd like to kind of jumpstart the rear of that development. Is that true, Mr. Bell?
That's true.
At the time that he entered into the first development agreement and took us up on that, he had stated in the future he had hoped to do some additions, and all went well. We had in the original development agreement that we would stub out the road so that he could gain access to the rear of his property within 3 years, Eric? Within 3 years of when he moved in there. At that time, and I don't remember the exact date, but along about that same time, the city of Belleville, Mark Kern was still mayor, so it was before December of 2004 when I took over. The city of Belleville was granted on paper a grant from the state of Illinois for the Tower Plaza extension of $1.5 million. The money never came forward. It went away, never got here. We asked Mr. Glenzer to be patient because we didn't have the money to put the road in that we had promised him in the development agreement. He could have sued us. We were in violation. He agreed. Now let me tell you, when we went to have an opportunity to sell the lot across the street to PMC, I believe it's called, and get another business in there, and when Tower Plaza grant fell through, at the same time it fell through, we found out from IDOT that they would not let us empty that road out on Route 15. That was another thing we were applying to do. IDOT came back and said they would not let us have access on Route 15, that if we realigned it, we could have access to Route 13, but not 15, not the 4-lane road. There would be no approved access. So we went back to the drawing board and had to get with a different property owner out there to realign the road. About the time we were realigning the road, PMC wanted to build, and with them also, we had to move the road over. At the time, we were already behind in our commitment to Mr. Glenzer for building the road as we promised, so he could build on the rear of his business.
This is the road that connects to Greenmount, when you say the road.
Yeah, this is where it's stubbed out now.
Thank you.
But we changed the alignment, so we moved the property over. At the time, Mr. Glenzer, because it was part of the negotiations when he cooperated, I don't believe, and I couldn't find this, but my recollection tells me we paid him no construction easements. It was all understood that we would do this because of our lateness with providing the road for him, putting off for several years access to the rear of this property, and because he's the one that went in when this road was moved over, and he's the one that did all the labor on grading it, seeding it, developing it. He's cut it every year since. I'll be honest with you. When we finally saw that the lot was on there, and I started paying attention a while back, and he came to me and said he wanted to get going on that, he went to look. He had thought that Mr. Malloy and them had agreed that that would have been deeded over to him for what he was cooperation. It never was done. When somebody asked me a year ago or so when this first came up, I would have said, yeah, I have recollection of it, and I think we deeded that to him as part of the development agreement. It was never filed. Now, I can't speak for Mr. Malloy, he's not here. But Mr. Glenzer said, well, what can I do? I really would like to start to add on to this now, and I need to take care of this. The property is a little unique in design. I'm not going to say it's perfect. I'm not going to say it's wonderful. With the setbacks, we figured there's approximately 4,000 square feet.
It's kind of the way the road was realigned, it's kind of a teardrop shaped property, and between the right of way and the setbacks, it would only be about 4,000 square feet of building space. So if you were building and required parking space on there, it had
Now, he's all these years cut it. He developed it because that was part of the, at least the agreement that he felt he had with the city, and I understood it to be that way, but, you know, it's just one of those things that didn't maybe get followed through. He said, what can I do? I said, we're gonna consider listing it as a lot sale. The city's always had, since we've sold this property, the right to choose, because we don't want somebody to come in there and own a spike strip and hurt a business. We're not trying to hurt any of our businesses. He wants to add on. He showed in his sale agreement, if you all look in your packets, he showed plans for what he wants to do. He's got a plan to build, I think, how many square feet, Tom? 14,000 square feet
That's right.
addition?
We didn't get that cash.
Well, it was at the Health and Housing, it was at, right, Bob? It was attached with his letter. And, okay, if it wasn't, I apologize, but it's here and we'll make it available to you. But there was never any secrets about this. This is not a dirty deal. I'm sorry, Mr. Brown, I disagree with you. But these are the facts. We're not doing anything wrong. It's a sealed bid. The minimum we've had set for years is $500. It is true that most of these lots we're cutting is costing the city a lot of money. And in this particular case, though, Mr. Glenser's been cutting it for years. We've never spent a dime on this lot. We didn't spend any money to grade it, to fill in the dirt, or to seed it. He did all that because it was understood that was part of the agreement in getting the construction easements and the cooperation when they built. They even had stuff on his property when they built the road. We had all that inconvenience. He made this bid, closed bid. I had no conversation about, I knew nothing until they opened it, what he was going to bid. I told him in talking to Mr. Flynn, this what he felt was the fairest way to do this. But I do believe the circumstances I just explained are very important to the decision being made. So with that said, I will open it up for questions. First of all, is there a motion to put on the floor to approve the sale of Lot 14, Bell Valley Industrial Park to Larry Glenser for the $800?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Martinson, second by Alderman Seibert. Alderman Hayden?
I appreciate you filling us in on the background information, Mayor. But in doing so, you've also brought up some concerns that I wasn't aware of. Now, if we're not cooperating with our development agreement, certainly this gentleman had certain rights and waived them, but you've portrayed to me, and this is the first I've heard all this now, you've portrayed to me that this is all good and dandy because of all of these errors and concerns made in the past. If that's the case, then I would suggest that our attorney write up in a document that basically states if we sell it for $800, that all these concerns that you brought up, including suing us for not providing our agreement with them, and et cetera, be put in writing that they will be waived, because otherwise those issues could still be brought forward.
Well, if you like, with the approval of this, I could ask the attorney to write a letter to make sure that before we accept or exchange at closing, that he would sign a waiver that no further action will be taken against the city, and we'd be very glad to do that.
The second question I have is the statement that was made in the public that this lot could go for $20,000?
That was Mr. Brown's statement.
But what is the lots gone for?
We don't sell the lots. I mean, there's a variety of different costs. When he bought the lot, that we owned, that we were given a lot with each section, right, Eric? We sold it for $15,000 to him in 2000. Some of the lots have gone for more, but they're a lot bigger, and there's, there's different situations. But if you go out there, if you looked at the stuff, the information that was provided, it's a very unique situation, and I think he was very patient with us. I think he has a purpose to grow his business some more. I hope he does that. he's been cutting it. I guess he could turn around and send us a bill for all the years he's cut the grass. We certainly spent a lot of money cutting grass with our grass cutter at these lots. So I think what we're doing here is have an opportunity to correct a situation that should have been corrected a long time ago. And I apologize, but I will tell you as mayor, I'm not going to pretend that I'm on top of, that anybody can be on top of every situation 100%. And this one truly slipped through the cracks until he got ready to start looking at building again, is when he really realized that the property was never deeded to him.
I can answer the question.
You're out of order, Mr. Brown. You're not on the city council. Mr. Hayden?
I'd like to make a motion to amend this motion in that we have the appropriate legal documents drawn up that before there is a sale of this property that Mr. Glazier will drop any chance of placing a bill to the city of Belleville, as well as any potential lawsuits in relation to past misagreements with the city of Belleville.
I would agree with you, Mr. Hayden. So you guys accept that amendment? And Mr. Flynn, you understand what we need to do. So we have a motion with an amendment to it, and if we can, we'll just go ahead. They accepted the amendment, we'll just do it as one motion. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, we don't have written contracts when we do things like this, when Mr. Malloy did this.
We had a development agreement, but I'm going to tell you that.
We don't know where it's at. It's in the
No,
basement.
we got the development agreement. We got it out. But some of the details and some of the notes, Mr. Malloy's been gone since 2008, and he's not been easily available to, recollection-wise. So Eric and I did the best we could, and Emily pulling it out, and talking to Tom Bell, who was there, and to Mr. Glenzer. I have no reason to believe that what they stated is what happened. I believe it did happen. I was here on the council, but in 2000, I was not the mayor. But when we did do the road, I had just taken over Charlotte before that, when this whole thing with the Tower Plaza, Mayor Kern got the grant. We never got funded, so they did make the change under my administration. But I'll be honest with you, with everything going on at different times, I was not intimately involved in that particular deal. It was Mr. Malloy.
Well, I'm questioning our contracts, because I had brought this up with...
And Mrs. Schneider, I told you at the finance meeting, I told you before, one of the duties, and maybe I didn't say it tonight, that this additional person in my administration, I pledged, if you listened, I pledged that we will work, this extra person that we approved tonight. One of the things that I stated very clearly, it was in writing to you all too, when I passed it out, right, Jamie? That one of the duties of this extra person that would be separated out in my office would be to work with economic development, and anything that I sign as mayor will be quarterly reviewed to make sure that we're living up to all the binding agreements. And we stated that. And if we can get the extra staff, we can do those things. But we've been short in economic development since 2008 when Mr. Malloy left. And it's been hard. But I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you. That's why I put that in that memo. And that's why I think it's so important that we do get that extra position to do those things.
What other question?
Yes, sir.
Can we pull this one out tonight and put it on the meeting for 2 weeks from now so we can see? I've not seen that business agreement, and give Mr. Flynn time to put the legal...
The business agreement's right here. Mr., you want to hand it to him?
I'm not going to read that right now to understand. I think we should get all the legal documents together. I mean, if there's nothing, if we're trying to work everything out, I think that 2 more weeks to get everything in legal writing makes sense. Because you're asking for me to vote on, they accepted my amendment, but we don't know all the legal things we're going to work out here.
No, I think all we're talking about is a simple release to be signed by Larry Glanzer, and all liability associated with the development agreement. Now, we simply have to identify the development agreement. I don't think it would be a very complicated job.
And you could have that together within 2 weeks to present to the...
I could have it together in much shorter time than that.
Then I see no reason why we can't wait just 2 weeks to get all this in writing.
With him pledging that, though, and Mr. Flynn's, in front of the city here, We'll get that done. We won't have a closing until that's done, and we can prove that to you. We'll get it to you. We'll get the drafted thing to you. We'll get the signed copies to all of you if you want before we have the closing. But I see no reason why not to act on it tonight. We have a very
There's
simple...
no reason why we have to act on it.
But why are we... Okay. We have a motion with an amendment. I call for the roll call.
I'm trying to support it, Mayor, but if you're not going to get all the legal documents, then
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
the council should see
You
them.
can, okay, well, we're going to see. Okay, we have a motion and a second with the amendment, as Mr. Haynes requested. Roll call.
The amendment states.
The amendment states that we're going to...
Allowed to ask
Okay.
questions.
Okay, both of you?
Well, he's the one starting it.
We're not kids. He said, she said. You know what? The hours are getting late, it's been long, a little warm in here. Apologize for that. Okay, here's the deal. Let me answer your question. You asked me a question. The motion
When I vote, the amendment, so.
is to approve the sale with the fact that the city attorney's going to work up a release to release us of any liability from the original development agreement, so he doesn't come back and sue us because we didn't live up to it originally.
I needed this clarification. Did you vote yes for some person? So let's go.
We vote yes, you're agreeing with that amendment. Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella. Aye. Meyer. Aye. Holt. Aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
No.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
I know, just a minute. No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orland.
Ayes have it. Last one, 515 North 6th Street to Forest Abe Avenue Senior for $500. Do I hear a motion? Alderman Marr, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Martinson. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orland.
Motion carries. Communications.
As a group?
See.
How about since you logged out before you, let's just hold
Read it. Let's go.
Communication from Alcoff Catholic High School requesting permission to place street banners on 4 light poles in front of the school in celebration of the 50th anniversary, July 1, 2013 through June 30, 2014. B, Communications Memorial Hospital requesting permission to hold our 6th annual 5K run on September 7, 2013, starting and ending at Memorial Hospital. Communication from the St. Clair County Bar Association requesting permission to hold the 12th annual Law Day run on April 27, 2013, and they want to hold it downtown. D, Communication from the Belleville Oktoberfest requesting permission to hold a car show on Saturday, September 21, 2013, in conjunction with the Oktoberfest from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and requesting the closure of the first 3 blocks of West Main Street and 1st and 2nd Streets north and south. E, Communication from the Vintage Support Group requesting permission to do an ongoing fundraising of the drive-through coffee stand at their current site at 900 Royal House Road. And F, Communications from the Southwestern Illinois Central Labor Council requesting permission to hold the annual Labor Day Parade on Monday, September 2, 2013, commencing at 10 a.m.
Motion by Alderman Marr. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion?
I have a question about the coffee stand. Is it currently operating?
Anybody know anything about the coffee stand? I think it's currently operating.
I believe it would read like it is.
I did, I mean, do they get a business license from us? Is there kind of a?
Do we know, Eric? Do you want to pull the coffee stand from the list?
No, I'm just asking.
Is it decaf? I don't know. It has to be for my doctorate degree. They're trying to give us stress. I don't know. So you can, we okay with it? We're gonna take a gamble here? All in favor of communication signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, petitions, we have none. Resolutions, I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Resolution 3130, 3131, 3132, 3133, and 3134. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Martinson. Any discussion on reading by title only? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
3130, a resolution resolving that the city of Belleville request permission from IDOT to close Route 159 at Public Square for the Belleville School District 118 parade on May 13, 2013. Resolution number 3131, a resolution resolving that the city of Belleville request permission from IDOT to close Route 159 at Public Square for art on the square weekend, May 16 to 19, 2013. Resolution number 3132, a resolution resolving that the city of Belleville requests permission from IDOT to close Route 159 at Public Square for the Memorial Day Parade on May 27, 2013. Number 3133, a resolution amending the annual budget of the city of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May 2012 and ending on the 30th day of April 2013. Resolution number 3134, a resolution amending the annual budget for the city of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May 2012 and ending on the 30th day of April 2013.
Motion to approve resolution 3130 through 3134. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Silsby, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Martinson. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt. Aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Orland.
Resolutions passed. Ordinances, I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Ordinance 7676, 7677, 7678, 7679, and 7680. Motion by Alderman. Oh, yes, sir.
They don't have that hotel on.
It's probably because it came in as a split decision, they have to come next meeting. When Emily doesn't have a clear what the outcome might be, they don't get them all written home. So we have a motion, and who's the second for the ordinances? Kinsella, I'm sorry, to approve those ordinances to read by title only as just stated. All in favor of the motion to read by title only signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we're going to do how are we going to do it? Let's just be honest. The back ones look like we could read those probably as a group maybe or not. Do you want them all separate or what do you want? Huh? So the only one you want to vote on separately is the budget? Is that okay with everyone? Okay, so let's go ahead and read everything from 7677 the first time.
Okay, here goes. 7676, an ordinance amending chapter 52, traffic, of the revised ordinances of the city of Belleville, Illinois, as amended by amending portions of sections thereof. 7678, zoning ordinance regarding Simon Sign Company, requesting sign installation permit for area of special control in order to place an internally illuminated flush-mounted sign totaling 16.66 square feet at 127 East Main Street. Ordinance 7679, the zoning ordinance regarding Stephen Tip Bells, requesting an area vote variance in order to decrease the required lot size to allow for sale and division of vacant lot between two residents, which will result in each lot being at least 11,000 square feet in area rather than the required 16,000 square feet minimum. The subject property is at 907 and 915 North 2nd Street. And number 7680, a zoning ordinance regarding John Young, requesting a use variance in order to utilize the property at 525 and 527 South 17th Street for a small office and storage facility in an A1 single-family residential district.
Motion to approve ordinance number 7676, 7678, 7679, 7680.
Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Consilla to approve those ordinances as just stated, and second by Alderman Consilla. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt. Aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Cybert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Motion carried. I'd ask for a motion to approve ordinance 7677. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Consilla. Any further discussion on this? Roll call.
76,
I'm sorry.
Article 3.
I'll read the title. This is first by title only. I'm sorry, I'm carried away. Excuse me.
I think it was all, everything was approved.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Title
Okay,
only.
I'm sorry. You're correct.
I just get to read it.
You just get to read it now.
An ordinance establishing the annual budget for the city of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May, AD 2013, and ending on the 30th day of April, AD 2014.
Motion to approve, ordinance 7677.
Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Consilla. Any roll call?
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
No.
Hart.
No.
Silsby. Hayden.
No.
Cybert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Orlett.
Ayes have it. We move on. Let's see here. Any unfinished business? Yes, ma'am.
I questioned you a couple of months ago about committee assignments, and it was approved, obviously, to wait till after the election.
And I'm still waiting, but I sent out a thing today with all the new members, and I believe Mr. Randall, are you still here? He's in the back, we leave. I had a packet for him, he came in later on. Anyway, the committees are being looked at right now, but we're waiting on, it's been difficult to get all the last minute details. I've asked the new people to get back with me immediately I told them I can't guarantee them, but if they have any choices, like I asked you when you got on, I think I had, at least it was in the file that I did. So we're asking them to, not that I can guarantee anything, but show them what their interests are, and I will have them assembled quickly. That's all I can tell you. I'm working on it right now.
Well, let me ask you specifically. Will you appoint anyone as a committee chair who is not a member of the development board?
I'll look at seniority and experience. That's the thing I'm looking at, and people who work in a cooperative spirit to lead a committee. So I'm not going to sit here tonight to tell you yes or no, but I'll review all. But like I said, we're going to, I will make my appointments soon. Now, what I will tell you under miscellaneous and new business is that we are going to have a special meeting on the 29th. Okay, we're going to have a thing, first of all, to approve the final budget amendments. And I don't have this thing in front of me, but second of all, Mr. Flynn has notified me this week he is not going to seek reappointment. So I will probably ask that night for a interim appointment of a city attorney. I don't know that I'll have it all ready to go in a permanent fashion. So that would be on the agenda for the 29th. I will also have on there, I learned this, Alderman Schneider. We've been talking all along that Mr. Flynn's research continued. By law, now that the election's over, you and Alderman Heisler, we have to do a drawing at that meeting to find out legally. We'll do it right in front of everybody. We'll have a drawing. We'll figure out the best way to determine who is the at-large.
Why are we just hearing this now?
Well, quite honestly, Mr. Flynn did some research and asked, and there was a little bit of a question mark about it.
Actually, that's not true. I gave that opinion way back when, a long time ago.
No, I was told I was alderman at
You
large.
were never told that. You kept referring to yourself as alderman at large, but you were never told that.
Yes, she was. And we actually, there's a videotape of it on,
Well, that's
Mr. Sprague.
But we did some checking, and the way it's been done is that they do a drawing, and we'll do it at this meeting. And it doesn't, really make, it's just, one of you have to be particularly assigned to Ward 1, and one of you have to be at large. Because Ward 7 will have technically only one alderman by law, and the at-large person certainly will have the ability to help there and fill in committees. And that's part of the other reason I come up with this when I started looking at committees. Because per our ordinance book, several of our standing committees have to have one from each ward. And all of a sudden, when I went back to Mike and said, hey, we got 3 here now, and he said, well, really and truthfully, the way it looks, they have to have a drawing. They have to have a lottery, whatever you want to call it. The two that are due in 15. And so that's just, what we're telling you. So we'll follow the law. It'll be done that night.
Can we get
We're
that
also,
case law on our package?
Adam, we need a copy of the video of that. You're not here, so don't laugh.
Okay, now, hold it. And the other thing is, we will recognize the people who are leaving council for their service. And we couldn't get that done tonight. So that'll be the basic agenda for the meeting. 7 o'clock here, Monday the 29th. But we've had that meeting many years because of the fact that we've had to pay a few bills just to finish out the fiscal year. At 7 p.m. You'll get a thing in the mail, but you're hearing it first here, and that's what's coming up. We will have, May 1st will be the swearing in for all elected officials, 8:30 in the morning, Wednesday morning here. And the reason we have to do it that way is the 2 new seats of clerk and treasurer take office that day, and they must be sworn in. And it's the law. And since there's such change, what? It's 8:30 in the morning. Now, I'm not telling you you're certainly welcome, but it's the people who won the election who really need to be here. Now, if there's a conflict, and I believe the clerk and the treasurer already agreed it's doable, and myself, if there's a conflict with any of the new aldermen, then they'll be sworn in right before the meeting on the 6th. So that's just what following the rules. Now, I will tell you this, because we don't have a council meeting, and with everything going on, I won't have these committees worked out. It'll be a week ahead of time, but I won't have them worked out the next day or two. And they won't get the committees approved, is my point, until the 6th. We've already agreed, talking to staff, that we're going to postpone or maybe cancel, depending on the need, the meetings on the 1st of the month, that Wednesday night. There's an economic development meeting, there's a housing committee meeting, there's a planning commission meeting. And technically, we wouldn't have a legal quorum because they're not all going to be approved by the council for the committees, and I don't know if it's possible to get them done. If I can get them done and all worked out by the 29th, we'll get them on that agenda. But there's still a lot of, I'm having orientation for the new aldermen, are going to meet with me coming up that week of the 22nd or whatever, and I'm going to meet with them and go over, and I have staff talk to them. So there's a lot to do, winding down the fiscal year and getting everybody up to speed. Something else it seems like I was supposed to say. Anything else you think? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
2 wards still, none of the races have been certified by the county.
No, they won't be certified until after the 23rd at some point.
Okay. Ward 4 will need to have an appointment.
I understand that.
So I'm going to just ask you publicly, that was a 3-way race. There were 2 very clear winners within 1 vote of each other.
And I will tell you right now that I have not made a decision yet who to bring forward.
Okay.
Okay? And again, you need candidates? Potential candidates?
Have you had discussion with anybody about filling that position?
I've had a discussion with Mr. Flynn. That's about all discussion I've had time for so far.
Well, I was told by one of the individuals you had already talked to him about before you came that you did not win the race.
Oh, I said, make a statement that if the race was, no, I'm not getting into it right now. We'll have this discussion. I'm not getting into that. I'm not going to all the speculation right now. And no, we're not doing that. I will have an appointment recommended as quickly as possible, okay? Any other things under miscellaneous new business? If not, I ask for a motion to approve motor fuel claims in the amount of $183,088.49. Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Martinson. Any discussion on motor fuel claims? Roll call.
Alderman Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson. Rudowitz. Carpenter. Sillsby. Hart. Hayden. Seibert. Martinson. Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove. Orland.
We will not be going, that motion carries. We will not be going into executive session this evening. I will tell you, I do need all of you here. Please let my office know if you cannot make the 29th, so I make sure we have a quorum. But we do need you all here to conduct the final business of this fiscal year. I do appreciate, I want to congratulate all the people who just win. I've talked to almost everybody now personally, and I want to thank all the people who have served so diligently over the years. We'll see you on the 29th for the final action. Meetings, motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Meyer, second by Alderman Anderson. All in favor?
Never done that.
Opposed? Motion